Hello, Topical, and welcome back to your favorite podcast where I will literally talk about anything, and I'll bring on people who are willing to talk to me about it, add some information, and overall invite a pretty enjoyable discussion. So today I have, for his seventh appearance, or eighth, or whatever it is, I've lost count at this point, my good friend Andrew Truelove, and today we're going to be talking about anime, specifically our review that we promised of Mob Psycho 100. We watched the first three episodes of that, and I took like 16 pages of notes, so I'm going to try and get in as depth as possible on it. After that, we're going to get into what anime we've been watching and maybe other media consumption. Following that, maybe what some new video games that have come out, because at least for me, I've been picking up a bunch of really new video games that just come out in like the past couple weeks. That's been big for me. Maybe get into a little bit of sports, because I know we held back any NCAA coverage for the March Madness tournament from you from the NBA podcast, so maybe we'll fill that need. And after that, we'll see where we go. Maybe talk about academic team, and yeah, we can talk about anything. So, Andrew, give me three words that you would use to describe Mob Psycho 100.
Without being a complete asshole and saying Mob Psycho 100, I'm gonna say. So are we listing adjectives about it, like characteristics that we would say, or our personal opinion in 3 words?
Let's go adjectives.
Okay. I'm gonna hyphenate this one. Action packed, relatable, and I really like the art style, but I guess artistic.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. What would I go with? For me, I'd probably go with chaotic, busy,
For sure.
and just off the wall. I know that's not
Yeah,
one
that's.
word, but it's
I'll
one
hyphenate off the wall. We'll
Yeah,
count it as a one-word phrase.
yeah. So okay, where do we want to start? Here, I guess let's start with a plot summary for anyone that didn't go out and watch Mob Psycho 100, because I know from any podcast where the authors would recommend that you read something or watch something, I would never do it, and I would just listen to a review. So for all those people that didn't actually watch Mob Psycho 100 like I wouldn't have, here's a brief plot summary. Okay, so I'm glad I took notes on that. Okay, so in episode one, you start off with in Reagan's office where he's with a couple clients. Like Reagan is, he ends up being, well, how would you describe Reagan?
Um, I'd say he's a little bit in over his head. He's I don't know, just kind of weird in general. He's a tough guy, but not really.
Yeah, he has like a big bravado, and he thinks that he's all Mr. Big Stuff and something, and like that he has all the power in situations, but whenever he's confronted about it, he always cowers or hides behind Mob or whatever. But
Yeah,
within the actual series, he's Mob's mentor, and Mob is like a supernatural kid. So Reagan's
he's an
biggest job.
Esper. He's an Esper.
Yes, an Esper. And Reagan's biggest job is to teach Mob to really harness everything outside of his supernatural abilities, because he can't help him at all with that. Reagan has no superpowers, unbeknownst to Mob. So it starts
Yeah,
off with Reagan alone with a bunch of clients, and he's trying to comfort them and figure out what they're trying to do. Like the clients look super disheveled, and like the woman has a runny nose, and like right away you're introduced to just how chaotic like the actual art style is, and just how overexpressive some of the characters can be. Was that something that you liked in the show?
like I said, I really loved the art style. I think that the art style is really good, but I couldn't help but laugh every time Reagan would spout something off, because it's absolute bullcrap. He's just spouting whatever he can, and it's funny that for at least a little while, Mob is completely just like, oh yeah, this guy's like a master and I'm nothing, and then he's like, follow my lead, Mob, and then Mob does all the work, and he's like, good, no, easy, that was easy, Mob, come on.
Yeah, definitely. And like he's always trying to cover his own butt in those situations. Like initially, I was getting like a Phoenix Wright vibe from him. Like the guy from the Japanese crimes video game series that just like is in a court and he's like objection.
Objection. It's like, what? Why?
Yeah, and like he just spouts out a bunch of random things and like is the protagonist for some reason.
I'd say that Reagan's basically a talkative figurehead, but he does add a lot of just entertaining moments into the show that wouldn't be there without his character at all. Like if Mob was just like a solo Esper and didn't have Reagan in his life or anything like that. What is the company called that he has? It's
Uh,
like
I don't remember, to be honest.
oh, hold
Hmm.
on, let's see. Um, Spirits and Such Consultation Office. That's what it is.
Okay. Yeah, that's basically like their exorcist service, and
Yeah, it's their exorcism business that people will come to them and be like, "We have a ghost or a demon that we need help with," and they're like, "All right, I'm coming," and then he just sends Mob.
yeah, and you see that in the initial one where he follows the clients and like he screws around and he's like, oh, is it over there? No, that the ghosts are actually over there. Oh, wrong abandoned building, and like he eventually gets in there and like you're confronted with this what I originally thought was a djinn, and I thought it was like an
He did
Eastern.
look like a Jin, yeah.
Yeah, like it's super funny because like I don't even remember why I thought he was a djinn, but yeah, he looked like a djinn. He had like the whole turban thing, and yeah, so obviously that's the Indian mythology right there. But it starts off with Reagan trying to prove his prowess by throwing salt at the guy. And
Yeah,
apparently, pure salt is supposed to hurt the spirits, but it wasn't pure salt, it was just table salt.
yeah.
And like the show
So
goes super over the top with it and just has him throw it everywhere. And like it shows all the
yeah,
clients having it on their faces and like just the gym being like, are you serious? This is table salt.
yeah. Reagan's like thinks that he's a professional, and then he goes to I think he punches him with like a fistful of salt, and
Yeah,
he's just like, "Ow, wait, no, that didn't hurt at all." And he's like, "Oh no, the salt didn't work."
yeah, that was great. And
I
I
was
think he
like,
said like you need ionized salt or something.
"Yeah," he's like, "Haha, you fool."
Yeah, we should all be using ionized salt. So after that, he obviously has to call in Mob, and I love how the show treats it because it's super nonchalant about it. It's just like, oh shoot, I gotta call in Mob. Can you guys wait a minute? I gotta call in Mob, and like
And
they
he's
just
like,
stand
"Yeah,
there.
yeah, no problem, buddy." And he's like, "Hey, Mob, Mabur."
Oh yeah, that's right, because you watched the
Yeah,
uh
I watched the sub and not the dub.
yeah, I watched the dub, so I didn't get any of the Mobu.
Oh, it's so great. Watch. You should seriously just watch at least the first episode of the sub. It's a completely different experience, honestly.
Yeah, I thought the English version was over expressive. That
Like
that one's gonna beat out.
in the I don't know if it's the first or second was is it the first or second episode when the what is it, the psychic club or whatever that club
The
is
second
trying to
episode,
recruit
yeah,
Mob. That's the second episode
yeah.
when the leader, that girl, is like spouting off about how much she wants the club to stay in, when it's all just really fast in Japanese, and then she's like, "Mabakun, please help," and I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah, that's cute. So obviously, Mob gets rid of the Jin super easily, and then Mob just goes back to his parents' house. You get introduced to them. I thought that was a really interesting scene because you definitely get a feel for like how the
Mob's
Japanese,
life.
yeah, like how the Japanese home style is, where like the mom
Yeah,
is like the disciplinary person, and then like the dad is someone that the son has like a closer relationship with, and like you see the son be like, "Oh, don't get on your mom's bad side," and like he's joking around, and his brother's joking around, and his mom is just uh, pulling all the punches and being like, "Oh, stop bending the spoons, Mob."
yeah.
So yeah, and then you
Like,
go to Mob. You get introduced to what Mob does in his daily life, which is going to middle school, which is an interesting takeaway from what most Japanese anime do. Most of them have a weird fixation on high school, and something that I found out from listening to the Weebcast done by Jeff Fu of Mother's Basement on YouTube is apparently the Japanese high school is like their like the peak time of their lives because they go to college, but in college they're a lot more focused on their studies than American schools
oh
are.
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, so like high school's like the real peak in their lives, and that's when they can actually be social and like have a life. So like high school holds a really is like a really fond memory in a lot of Japanese people's minds. So that's why you see so many focusing on high school, but in this case they do middle school, and I think that plays into a feeling that I have that I'd be curious to see what you thought on. That this show, what it tries to do the most is it tries to go against what traditional anime do, and like it tries to like bring in unconventional tropes and like unconventional choices.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It brings in a lot of new, fresh ideas that, I mean, everything before it has been, just a little bit different. It's just so out there and wacky that it's enjoyable. At least it got enjoyable. The first episode was meh. Second episode, I got a little bit more into it, and by the third episode, I was like, all right, this is a pretty good anime. But like, coming from someone who, honestly, it's like maybe this is my fifth anime I've ever watched, and I've
Yeah,
never
me
finished
too.
one really.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of I enjoy the art style, I enjoy the characters. I think that they're being developed pretty well. But also to add on to the fact that so many other animes have a fixation on high school life, it's they also portray like this idealized version of high school. Like it's not like real tried and true high school troubles. It's like these I don't know how to describe it. These perfectly perfect people. You know what I mean?
Um, to be honest, no.
Like
Like,
like
can you give me an example?
um I don't know. I've seen like in what is that one called? Hold on, give me a minute.
Yeah,
Talk about
sure.
something.
So after they go to the middle school where you're introduced to Mob's love life in the form of Tusibome, or Sibome, actually, I always forget that the Japanese T is silent. They go to Honaido Tunnel, and that's just the other big spirit battle that happens in the episode. It was pretty uneventful. I mean, really, it just annoyed me because I hated the stylistic choice to make that boss Jin, when it was shrunk, have a super tinny and like high pitched voice. I thought that was stupid, and it was super cliche, and it was grating, and it kind of ruined the scene for me. And then they just go to dinner, and the first episode ends.
Yeah, the first episode was kind of just like introduction of all the characters, which I enjoyed that enough, but it wasn't. I think they could have put in a little bit more to draw you back into it a little bit, because I very well, if I hadn't wanted to watch the first three episodes of this, I could have pretty easily just put the show down after the first episode and been like, meh, I'll maybe come back to it later.
Yeah. So I guess I'll continue with the plot of the show. So
Yeah,
after that, they start with Mob. He's with Reagan, and like they start talking about puberty for some reason. I forget why that comes up exactly. Obviously, he's in middle school, so that's going to be a big thing that he's going through in his life at the time. But it was still a weird choice to bring that in. So he brings that up with Reagan, and he says like, I'm not sure if I should really be spending my time with you anymore, because he feels like he's wasting his time because it's so easy to beat all the spirits, and he doesn't really feel like Reagan's helping him that much other than being a friend. You know, he's not even making that much money. I think he was making like $2.50 or something in the yen to dollar conversion, so not even minimum wage. So he's talking about other things that he wants to do in his life, and he mentions that he wants to like be a part of like a club or something. And Reagan, yeah, obviously is like, no, don't do that. Stay with me forever, or whatever. And Mob doesn't really care. He's like, no, I'm gonna see what options I have. So the big thing that he's introduced to is the telepathy club, because you've seen a scene that the telepathy club. So here's some backstory. Apparently, in Japanese high schools, you need like five for club members or something, or maybe that's just something in Mob Psycho 100. And the fifth member of the telepathy club, he leaves the club for some reason. He seemed like he was fed up with it, but the reasons didn't really make sense because they didn't actually do any telepathy or anything in the club. They just screwed around the entire time. So he left, and then the student council comes in, and they're being super oppressive, and they're like, "You got to get a fifth member immediately, or we're going to shut down your club and give it to the Body Improvement Club." And they're all freaking out. And what's her name? Tome Karate. She's like, "Oh shoot, we got to get a member as fast as possible." And like they start freaking out, and they get over expressive, and like running down the hallway. And like something weird in the show is like every time someone is running, that's like the most expressive thing that happens in the show.
yeah, I get that for sure. But it was funny. He walked in, and well, actually, I think they came up to him, right, because they were scrounging around for
Yeah,
people, and they're like, "No, won't join. It's weird. Oh, it's weird. No, it's spooky and it's weird. I don't know you, and it's weird." And everybody was like, it just cut to all these different people denying her like going into the club, and then it was like their faces slowly deteriorating from like hopeful to just completely helpless,
yeah.
and then eventually they find Mob, and then Mob's like, "Yeah, I'll probably join," and then he calls
Yeah, and that was
he
a great scene.
Yeah, and then he calls Reagan, and Reagan's like, "What? What are you talking about? No, you're not joining anything. You're coming to work." And he's like, "I'm gonna be a little bit late. I'm gonna join." He's like, "Do you actually want to join?" He's like, "No, not really." And he's like, "All right, then come to work." And he's like, "All right, bye." And then I think he comes. He's like about to sign it, and then the student council like board. I don't even know who that person is. Like who
The
you'd
vice
call that person.
president.
The vice president of the student council. He comes in and he's like, "All right, Body Improvement Club's taking the room," and he's like, "All right, I'd like to sign up." And then
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh," and he's like, "For Body Improvement Club," and then everybody's like, "What?"
Yeah,
And
and like
then
the whole point of that was just to be a 180 on what the audience expected. Everyone thought he was going to join the telepathy club, and
yeah,
they were going to help him build up his skills in not EXP, ESP, and EXP is just experience.
experience.
That'd be weird if just like energy balls started floating around. Yes, I got the
Yes.
experience. I leveled up. But yeah, so he joins the Body Improvement Club to the surprise of everyone, especially at Tomei. And I'm not gonna lie, I was super happy that he did that because I really did not like Tomei at all.
Yeah,
And
I
like
was like, Tomei's pretty annoying, actually.
yeah, and I couldn't tell if that was what the writers were going for initially. And honestly, I still don't know at this point because like obviously she had to push really hard because that was the whole point. And like the entire show is about people being overexpressive and just like showing their emotions too much. But I thought she took it too far personally. And like
Yeah, she was. It was just a little bit over the top in terms of performances, a little bit much for me.
yeah, so there really
But it was funny once Mob actually joined Body Improvement Club. Turns out he was just absolutely out of shape.
yeah.
They were all running, and he passes out, and then the Body Improvement Club actually generously ends up leaving the room for the Telepathy Club. They just needed a place to store like their gym equipment.
Yeah,
They weren't actually going to use the room because they're doing all their, with the workouts outside. They're all running and stuff. So the Telepathy Club was just kind of squatting in the room now and
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
oh yeah, we still
essentially.
have our room, so we don't really care.
Yeah, and like Tomei still wants Mob to join for some reason, which
Yeah,
makes no
and
sense.
and then Mob's like, I'm gonna join for Tomei-chan, Tomei-kun. It's like, okay, buddy.
Yeah, it was just weird, and like you get to see that like they really are just doing nothing, and for like a minute you see like Tomei being like, no, I really do want to experience telepathy, and I want to see all that this world offers that we don't understand, and then they just go back to playing board games or whatever.
Yeah,
And
and
then
then
sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, and then finally they were like, he's like, I want to join. He's like, I'm an expert, and they're like, oh yeah, BS. We'll call you on that. And then he starts making shit fly around the room, and they're like, okay, buddy.
Yeah,
they,
were they
they just
scared
get a
after
little bit
that?
overwhelmed. What?
Were they scared after that, or was it just?
I think they were all just a little bit overwhelmed. They're like, I can't believe that actually just happened. I think Tomei got super excited.
Oh,
She was
okay.
like, oh my god, a real Esper! I can't believe it. You're gonna help save the club, and he's like,
Yeah, I don't know the one guy's name, but one of those members of the club I really liked. One of the guys, I have no clue what his name was, but I thought he
I
was pretty
can tell
cool.
you. So we have Haruto Chibayashi. He's got spiky hair. Mameda Unukawa. He's the guy with the bowl cut and just eyebrows that are little dots. Uh, Shirahiko Saruda, and he has a butt chin.
Okay, it's not him. Yeah, it's
It might
probably
be
the
the
guy.
guy with the spiky hair.
Maybe I don't really know to be honest, but yeah, overall I thought the club was kind of weird, and I'm curious to see how much the show stays on that. But that wasn't really the club that was focused on in the third episode. What really was being focused on was Mob somehow getting lured into a cult meeting because like the entire time he's like having self-esteem issues as a teenager would. So he's like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I wish I was happy in my life," and then he just runs into a cult member, uh,
yeah.
and she basically asks like five different questions and is wrong each time, and it's like, "Oh, I bet you're having."
It must be love.
Yeah, and it was so stupid because like it was just breaking down all the ways that like cults or psychics just try and trick you, and she's like, "I bet you're having family troubles," and he's like, "No,
He's
actually,
like,
I'm
no,
doing."
my family's fine.
Yeah, it was so stupid.
She's like, must be love. He's like, nope, I'm good. And then she's like, do you want to be popular? Is that it? He goes, you can make me popular? And she's like, I got him.
Yeah.
And then he's lured in, and I forgot. It's like the Smile Guru. I forgot what it was called already. Let's see. Shite.
Yeah, but the cult itself, it really reminded me of from oh, what is that called? The Earthbound series, the Cult, where like they're just going around and painting the town different colors. And I originally thought the Cult had links to a cult from Japan in the '90s that detonated like a bunch of sarin gas bombs in the
Yeah.
Tokyo subway. I was completely wrong. They had absolutely no relation to them, and that one was just way worse. And it is probably a good thing that they didn't go along those lines. But I wasn't sure how I felt about the club, to be honest, because I felt like there was a little bit of wasted potential on the part of the cult leader.
Yeah. So his name is Dimple, or the evil spirit's name is Dimple, and he possessed the LOL cult leader. I forgot that the cult was called LOL.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
And
but
like,
basically, everybody put on these masks, and then the spirit would possess them, and they would be basically hypnotized into laughing. But they're like trapped. They're so conscious, but they know that they're laughing, and they don't think they want to laugh, but they can't stop.
yeah,
And it turns out one of Mob's classmates is there as well, like the
yes,
same meeting that Mob went to, and they all went up on the stage, like all the new members, and then they all like they were getting, I don't know, it went through like some sort of initiation, but it wasn't working on Mob, and then he ended up fighting Dimple and absolutely destroying him
yeah, pretty much. And like I really
because
would.
the whole Mob countdown to explosion thing.
Yes, and that,
Yeah,
that was a big theme throughout. But I want to talk about my problems with Dimple first. So I think there was a huge waste of potential here. So the big thing with the cult is like Dimple is really good at telling jokes or whatever, and like he can make anyone laugh. And I got really excited for that because I was like, oh wait, are they gonna make an argument about like comedians being like psychics and like them able to control other people? Because that would be really cool, and like I would really like to see that. And then immediately no, they're like, oh, it's hypnosis, and I'm like, oh come on, that's a cop out. And like
it's like, oh wow, how's he getting all these people to laugh? Oh, hypnosis, lame.
yeah, and I would have thought it was so cool if like he was just a really good joke teller. And Mom is it feels really bad about like taking him down because he's like, okay, this guy isn't like a psychic or anything. He's just really good at telling jokes and he wants power. And like, I thought that would have been a really good commentary on like comedians in real life and their power over people, but they didn't go down that road. And route, it seems like they're very
See,
focused on just doing the whole psychic thing.
I feel like if it was produced in America, it definitely could have gone that route. But because Japan's just got such a different culture than us, I don't think they value comedians as much as we do, or pay attention as much as we do to comedians, because that's not really a popular pastime there.
Well,
You know,
actually, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that because the whole reason I was thinking about the comedian thing was because the Weebcast was talking about a specific anime that was only focused on comedians and the Japanese comedy style. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it's basically where like you have some guy who's just sitting down in the front of a stage, and and it's a lot more similar to like a Greek muse or something, just like telling a bunch of stories and like an actual joke teller. But I would have been so fascinated if like they just made Dimples one of those guys, and that that would have been awesome. But obviously that didn't happen, so that was a bit of a shame. The battle itself, I felt like it was pretty similar to all the other battles. Like Mob was gonna win from the beginning, and it was kind of boring to be honest. I felt like it was kind of just filling time.
the
But
combat's usually pretty good, but that fight was kind of underwhelming in general.
yeah, I mean I don't know. Like it seems like most of like the combat that's been happening so far goes by very quickly.
No, yeah, they are over very fast. Mob just kind of destroys everybody. Like there was the one where
Oh, Rakugo.
uh
That's the comedy style I was talking about.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
sorry.
No big deal. So when he and when Mob and Reagan dress up as schoolgirls to go into that all girls school to try and mess with their demon problems, Reagan gets caught and they're like, "Oh, pedophile!" And they're like, "You can go ahead though, little lady." And Mob's like, "What?" And
Yeah,
then Mob has to go and meets people on the roof, and then he meets the wrong people, and then the right people are like, "Hey, can you help us?" And they're like, "You don't even." You're not even real, are you? You can't even do this. And he's like, "Oh, I can definitely do it." And then he finally finds the like the pedophile spirit in the gymnasium. He's like, "You ruined my dream," and I was like, "What the hell?"
yeah. That was a weird one, and I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that took a while.
Yeah, like that was almost an entire episode of Mob hunting down this specific spirit, and then she was like, well, they couldn't find him at all. He was like, he's everywhere. He's like, can't find him, and then they finally were like, okay, we're locking him in this basketball gym, and then he's like, I can't get out, and you trap me, and then he just demolishes him, and I was like, okay, well,
Yeah. What episode was that? Because now I'm thinking about it.
I think that's three.
Huh.
I can check really quick because I actually have the Mob Psycho wiki up.
Okay, yeah. Because
Um,
I'm thinking about it, and it seemed like the cult thing went on forever.
the cult thing was definitely
It was definitely free.
yeah, definitely three. I'm looking at it. I might have seen episode 4 actually. It's
No,
not even episode
I
4.
know I didn't, but I saw that thing with the pedophile and stuff.
Okay. So maybe it was 2.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, that's weird. I guess the pacing is a lot quicker than I realized. Hmm.
Let's see what we got. It's kind of hard to figure this out because it's just the name of the episode and then it says it's the second episode, and I'm like, thank you very much. Scent Ghoul, was that it? Yeah, that's him. Yeah, okay. It was episode 2.
Huh.
Spirit who appeared and made his home terrorizing the students at a private girls' high school.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess.
Huge, bespectacled ghost with a blotchy green form.
Yeah. Okay. I guess episode 2 had more in it than we thought. Okay.
Yeah, and he was like talking about apparently the whole gist was that he was a loser and in his past life, and then he ended up coming here, but he likes the scent, like sweet smelling girls, and so like he's
Yeah.
called the scent ghoul, which is very odd. But then I remember right after Mob defeated him, he was like, "You're just like me, aren't you? You're a loser. You want to be somebody. You want to be popular." He's like, "I can help you. Just I was living the dream. You killed my dream." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty deep stuff."
Yeah. And then he just kills him, but
Yeah, and then he's just dead. And I was like, "Oh, okay, well."
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing about all the spirits so far is like, aside from like the really big ones, like the initial one in the Tornado tunnel, like the one at the very end,
Yeah.
and obviously Dimples. Well, actually, they do go into a lot of character analysis and development on Dimples.
Oh, it's snowing.
It is. Oh, it's not for
Yeah.
me.
It is here quite a bit actually.
Okay, maybe we're not gonna have school on Monday.
Interesting.
That'd be
I'm
sweet.
supposed to be going to the beach tomorrow. Maybe.
You won't have to bring suntan.
Don't even worry about suntan. I'm bringing jeans and a sweatshirt.
Yeah, don't go in the water. It's gonna be frozen.
Oh, heck no! It's gonna be frozen.
Yeah, bring your ice skates. I mean, obviously not because it's
Skate out to the middle of the Atlantic Ocean where it's definitely frozen.
yeah, like it's salt water, obviously, but still,
Yeah,
be careful.
I will.
I wonder if during the Ice Age it ever got frozen for like an actual ocean got frozen for a while.
I'm sure most of the major seas did, like Caspian Sea and the Red Sea and Black Sea. Actually,
Well, no, I mean
not
like an ocean.
I don't know if the oceans would. Honestly, it would have to be. No, you know what? Yeah, they might have because just the. I was gonna say it would have to be a really long time, and I was like, it was a really long time.
Yeah, it was like
So
like tens of thousands of years.
yeah, no, they were definitely probably frozen then.
I don't know. We'll have to. I wonder. It would only be to a certain depth though, because obviously you couldn't have it frozen all the way through, because then just all sea life would die. That's a problem with that. Yeah. That's an interesting question, actually, because I wonder what would happen to sea life in that case. And that was only 50,000 years ago that we had our last big ice age. So,
LiveScience.com says that the deep Arctic waters still flowed even during the last ice age, which means it didn't freeze through. And I prefer this video to not actually deafen me. Even during the deep freeze of the last ice age, the waters of the deep Arctic Ocean churned below the frozen ice caps. New research finds scientists thought that these waters slowed or even stopped during this time, but analysis of sediment from the bottom of the ocean shows that these waters have been churning for the past 35,000 years under wildly different climates.
Okay, that's really interesting.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Well, I guess we don't have to worry about that if you go to the beach then.
Oh, I see. Okay, so the waters of the deep Arctic are a critical branch of the global ocean circulation, which moves heat around the planet along with atmospheric circulation. In the modern ocean, these waters flow into the North Atlantic, where they help bring oxygen and salt to the rest of the world's oceans, according to the release on the research from Columbia University's Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory.
Okay,
that is interesting indeed.
Okay, well, I guess we should get off of that tangent.
Yeah, I mean, that was just kind of a ADHD moment. We're like, what?
Yeah. Ooh, frozen ice caps.
Yes.
Okay, so and then the show leaves off just to conclude the plot with a scene of Mob waking up, and he's confronted with what I originally thought was like a green lumpy space princess, and like I don't know if it's like his spirit from his Esper, like.
No, that's Dimple.
Oh, that's Dimple.
Yeah, the green cloud of gas with the red cheeks, that's Dimple. That's Dimple's spirit form coming back to be Mob's friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That completely went over my head.
Yeah, if I go to spirits and go to Dimple. I can send you the link, and you can see that I am certain that this is what you're talking about because I also saw that episode. Where's our chat? Here it is. Pasting the link to you. You can click that, and that will give you Dimple's full rundown.
Okay, yeah, and I'm not talking about the episode. I'm talking about literally like the last 5 seconds of
Yeah, no, I'm talking about just the
like the
little
post
cameo that
credits.
he makes.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
That's Dimple.
Okay, so I thought that was like a product of the explosion that he has during the Dimple fight and like that releasing something in him. But if that's just Dimple, then okay, yeah, that's definitely
That's quite
Dimple.
literally the spirit of Dimple.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's
the
definitely him.
base form.
Huh. Well, that's gonna be interesting to see where they take that then.
Yeah,
Okay.
it says
Huh.
he aligned himself. He aligns himself with Mob after being defeated by him.
Hmm. Okay. Well, that's a strong choice, I guess. We'll have to see how that goes.
Uh huh.
Okay, so that's all of the plot. Should we get into the characters now?
Sure.
Okay, so I guess we'll start with Reagan. We kind of talked about him already, but I guess we'll do a thumbs up and like a thumbs down system where like we can give a thumbs up to a character and why we like him, or a thumbs down and like why we don't like him.
All right. Well, I can already skip. We can skip Tomei because it's both a thumbs down, just over the top for us, right?
Actually, you know what? That's too black and white. Let's do like a one good thing about each person, like one bad thing about each person, so that's a little harder for us. So we got to find something good about Tomei.
She's very passionate about telepathy, even though she has no skills whatsoever. She's passionate.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go down the list then. Okay. Should I just pull up a character list so that we're going down the same people?
If you go to the wiki that I sent you, you can go to characters and see all of the characters that are
Yeah. Cool.
And so I have open right now. I have Reagan, Tomei, Musashi, Ichi, and Takane.
Okay.
I think.
Then let's start with Reagan. Okay. So give your one good and one bad thing about Reagan.
Reagan is hilarious, but I think he's, like I said, like an airhead. He's kind of an idiot.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, like he's yeah, like he just wants to be the guy who's in charge and wants everyone to look up to him and be like, "Ooh, look at him! He's gonna be the best."
He's a professional. Oh, he's really not.
Yeah, and he's gonna be the best supernatural user there ever has been.
He's full of himself.
Yes, he's absolutely full of himself, but he's also he cares about making Mob a better person. Like he's not trying to screw Mob over, and like he actually thinks that. He actually thinks that he's helping him through the whole apprenticeship thing, so he wants Mob to stick around him. Obviously, he also wants Mob there so that he can benefit from him, but
so he doesn't die.
yeah, but you can definitely tell from like the in lunch scenes where like they're eating or something, and that like they talk about like their personal feelings and like he's like trying to help Mob through puberty and be like, okay, Mob, let me help you make the right decisions, and when he calls Mob, no, sorry, when Mob calls him about the whole club thing, he's actually trying to help him. He's being like, why are you wasting your time with a school club? You're not going to benefit yourself at all. And like throughout, obviously, there's the
he's like, what are they going to teach you? I've already taught you. I can teach you everything you need to know. Just come to work. And he's like,
yeah.
But they have a deep emotional. I mean, not deep emotional, but they have an emotional connection, which is something nice because it's like having I guess like an older brother.
Yeah.
Not. I mean, he already has an older brother, but another older brother. But yeah, it's nice. I like Reagan as a character, and I hope that they develop him a little bit more, and he is still in the show.
Yeah, what do you think of his character model?
I think it's fitting. I think the fact that he wears suits constantly is pretty funny. Because he tries to think of himself as, this professional kind of guy, and you just know he's just a slime ball, really.
Yeah, and that was initially what made me think he was like Phoenix Wright, because it was just like the Phoenix Wright suit. He had the same look on his face, aside from the fact that he was a blonde and Phoenix Wright has black hair. Like that was, I was gonna say he's a black. That's not correct, but
no, sir.
No, it's Japan. But ooh. But no, like I thought it reminded me a lot of that, and yeah, like I'm a fan of his character model. I think it's one of the stronger ones in the show. It's definitely better than Tomei's, and yeah, like for me, a pro for Reagan. I agree, he's hilarious, but just so that I'm original, I think that he really brings a lot to Mob in terms of making him a better person and integrating him into a normal life. I'm really curious to see how he handles Mob after the whole cult thing, if he like tries to teach Mob a lesson out of it or something. So
Yeah,
there's
I
definitely
want to
that.
see Mob continue. I want to see him continue to try and train Mob because even though he doesn't have any powers, I feel like he still kind of knows some moves that Mob doesn't.
Yeah,
So
like the
even
Salt
though he
thing.
can't actually execute them,
Yeah, which is getting kind of annoying at this point. I hope they get over that. Like, and he
yeah.
actually is able to do the Salt thing because it's been like twice now that he is screwed up.
Yeah, it would be cool if he actually ends up being a badass with some salt.
Yeah, and like I'm not saying kill everybody, but just have him get like one of the
No.
lower demons
Yeah,
with Salt and be like, I did it, I'm the
just
best.
have him and Mob fighting simultaneously, and you actually see him win a fight, and then Mob doesn't have to come and save him.
Yeah, and then
He's
my
just like, I did it.
yeah, and then my biggest problem with Reagan right now is like yes, there's the problem with him being like overzealous and like being over and like too full of himself, but additionally he doesn't care that he does those problems. And like that goes in contrast with what they're doing with a lot of the other characters in the show, where they're actually having character development and like they're having Mob with his family and like showing that he is insecure about his problems and like he looks to his brother for support. But like you don't see any of these things with Reagan. You just see oh he's super brazen and has a big bravado and like he just doesn't care that like he's obviously manipulating Mob to get for personal benefit and like he just doesn't care and like I don't think that's a good choice for his character.
Yeah, I feel like they could definitely do a little bit better with that.
Okay,
But
so
like I said, we're both very hopeful
yes,
in terms of his character development in the future. So you want to move on to Tomei now? Is that next, or do you want to do save Tomei?
let's just go down the list. Yeah,
All right,
so
I
we
think
got
Tomei's
Tome.
next.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll let you rant about her.
Okay. Well, basically, Tomei is like a stereotypical annoying high school girl, but she's not a popular girl. So there's a little bit more. I don't know. She's a little bit more desperate, I think, for like attention and friends, and she just this club is like the only thing that she feels she's a part of because she is the president of the club. If we didn't already tell you that,
Yeah,
and so when the vice president of the student council comes and says that they're going to take her club away, she's distraught and hysterical. She's desperate to find anyone to fill the spot in her club because this is all she's got, and she's super passionate about it. Even though, as far as I know so far, she has no powers. Just she has about as much power as Reagan has, but without the salt. So
yes, and yeah, that's kind of all the good that there is to her. She knows what she wants and she's willing to fight for it, and she really motivates all the other people when they're like, okay, we should just give up on the club and club is over. The student council is knocking on her door at every 5 minutes, and why should we bother trying to find any other members?
yeah,
And
not to
for
mention her ultimate goal is to communicate with aliens via telepathy. So
oh yeah,
she's
that's
got that
right.
going for her.
Yeah, so like she has a actual goal here, and like she knows what she wants, and she's willing to go out and get it. And that's the good for her, and the bad. Obviously, I don't think we like her character model. I think it's just it reminds me too much of that initial client where like it just looks almost snotty and like it's
Yeah, I don't like her character model at all. I don't like the eyelashes. I don't like her face, her hair. It's just not.
yeah, no, I don't like her face either, and like I felt like her personality's kind of bitchy to be honest, and like that's not that's a problem that I have with bitchy. Like there's no other word for it than that. Like you can't say she's a complainer. Like that's not the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, like she always has like a super long face, like so she looks like she's yeah, like whenever she's not being super expressive, she looks super placid. Like she just doesn't care at all.
yeah. She just looks completely apathetic. She's just done.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see where they go with her character. I'm assuming they're gonna try and make her have some personality and like have some more redeemable traits, but it's gonna have to be a lot to offset the damage she's already done.
Unfortunately, it seems as though both she and Reagan are actually never going to be powerful in terms of having the same powers because there's a little like tab on the side of all of these if you don't see it, and it says Esper question mark, and then his is no and hers is no. So I assume that even later in the show they're not going to give them powers,
Well, for
which is unfortunate.
Esper, it seems like that's something that you're just born with or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know because I mean there's really there's just quite literally all the characters on this list are not Espers except Mob.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we should probably skip Musashi. He's the head of the
Oh,
body.
that's why, because they're called human. There's a category for humans and a category for espers. I'm stupid.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you got that. Like, it's just a we're just looking at least I am. I'm looking at a
Yeah,
drop down
the normal
menu.
people.
Yeah. So okay, then we have Musashi. Is there? And I don't really have much to say about him.
No, he's a minor character. He's just president of the Body Improvement Club, and he ends up delivering Mob back to Tomei when he passes out, and that's about it.
Yeah, and it's just gonna come down to if they decide to focus on the Body Improvement Club any more in the later episodes.
I
Which,
would like to point out that he looks like a 45-year-old man, but he is apparently 15 years old. So
well, that's what steroids do to you kids.
yeah, don't do drugs, kids.
And don't get mutton chops either. Those look horrible.
Yeah, no, we don't want General Burnside coming in.
Yeah, General Burnside. Ugh. Okay, so that's Musashi. Not much to him. We don't
Ichi Misato, she was the other student at
the cult meeting.
yeah, she's in the news club, and she was at the cult meeting because she was like wanting to do some kind of report, and then they ended up brainwashing her a little bit, and then you got to hear her inner thoughts as she was like, "Why am I laughing? Oh, I'm laughing. I don't want to be laughing. Why am I laughing?" And eventually, once Mob killed Dimple, everybody was kind of free and just really confused as to why they were there.
Yeah, so we don't know a ton about Ichi right now. All we really know is she's a journalist. She has some a bit of a moral compass. So she's going. That's why she's a journalist. She says that in her monologue to Dimples about what you're doing is wrong, and clearly you're not funny. I'm not laughing, and I'm gonna report you or whatever. And like she thinks that she has a right to leave the cult without it being impeded at all. Obviously, that wasn't the case. She took a huge risk
Yeah,
by even going in, and obviously, she doesn't have whatever rights are entitled to her. And yeah, there was that, and then she just gets hypnotized, and we don't really see anything else of her.
yeah, and she just all we know about her really is that, like you said, she's in the news club and that she's in one of Mob's classes.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for Ichi, to be honest. Hopefully, they focus on her a lot more. It seems like they will, but I don't know. So that's Ichi, and the last human that we have on the list is Tsubome.
Subome. Yeah.
All right, well, how would you describe Tsubome?
Um. Hmm. I think she's kind of like this. She's been Mob's crush for forever, and at first, Mob used to impress her with his ESP abilities. He used to, move shit around for her, and she's like, "Wow, that's really cool." And then there was a cutscene, or not a cutscene, but I guess just an off and a side scene where it
A
was kind of
flashback?
a flashback. Yeah, it was a flashback. I was trying to think. I was like, it was a flashback. So it was a flashback the Mob had. I think during the second episode,
Yeah.
pretty close to when he was fighting the Scent Ghoul, where it was them on a playground, and then she was like, this is boring now, so bye. And then he was like, oh, well, I just want to be with you. And so that was kind of depressing, honestly. But she just seems like a normal girl, and Mob has just fallen head over heels for her.
Yeah, so for my pro for her, she's the least overly expressive person in the show, so that's a pro in my book. I like that. I don't like the overly expressive stuff. I'm not sure how you feel about that, but I'm not crazy about it. I think it
Yeah, no,
takes
I'm not. I think it gets a little bit annoying sometimes, but I think they did a good job in making sure that she wasn't too kawaii.
yeah, like they could have gone over the top of that. I think they did a good job not doing that, especially because she's a middle schooler. And
Yeah.
I'm actually noticing that like all of these people are like 14 or 15, so I don't know how Japanese middle schools work because normally in the American system these would all be 8th or ninth graders.
Yeah. I have no clue how the schooling system works. We should probably get on that eventually.
Yeah, maybe it's like a junior high thing. That would make sense because junior high is supposed to be
Yeah.
7th, 8th, and ninth.
Yeah, because like Mob's 14 and then she's 14, but then other people are 15. You're like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, so like she's not too emotionally expressive, so I like that obviously. But then yeah, aside from that, like she doesn't have a lot to her character, and I feel like she has like the airhead problem that all stupid but pretty people do, where like they think they're entitled to things, and like they're not, like they're either just gonna be tools or like they're not really providing any use for people. They're just objects of fascination, which is definitely what she is right now. I'm curious to see if they take that anywhere. I'm imagining they probably won't. And yeah, like there's just not much to it right now.
Yeah, she's just kind of, I don't know. Yeah, she was just kind of there and then gone again. She hasn't been spoken about again, but apparently she's got to come through eventually. So.
Yeah. Okay. So, are you ready to move on to espers?
Yeah, I don't think I have them in order, but you can say which one you're doing first, and I'll just follow your lead
Yeah. So
or the order,
I mean,
and I can
I'm
list
just
them
going off
quickly.
the order on the drop down menu.
All right, I'll look real quick. Shigeo, Taruki, Sho, Ritsu, and Katsuyana. So I have
Yes.
it completely backwards.
So that'll be
Uh,
mob. Okay.
yeah. So Mob, and then Taruki,
Yeah. Then Taruki,
then
and then
Sho, then Ritsu, then Katsuya.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, good. I have that.
Yeah. So Mob is obviously the main character of the story. The narrator starts off by saying that he's the protagonist, which is said in the initial battle against that Jin we were talking about with, where Reagan had to call him in because he it was just hopelessly outmatched against him when his salt didn't work. And there's a lot to Mob's personality. Would you take a stab at describing it?
He's kind of troubled. He's a little bit depressed. He's very lonely. He wants to be popular, but he doesn't know the first thing about social interactions. He's oblivious to a lot of stuff, and he wants to express his emotions, but he can't. And then that explosion is him finally letting all of his emotions out. And so I thought that was a pretty good, a pretty good inclusion of the fact that he is emotionless, and all of a sudden all these emotions, his deepest inner thoughts, are revealed to all of us. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's short, he's unathletic, he's not popular. Everybody thinks he's weird. So it's just a matter of he's the ultimate loser in terms of everybody else, but he is our protagonist, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like he has all of the character arcs that like you normally see in an introverted main character, where especially when they want the character to break outside that box, where he's fighting the fact that he's introverted and he's like, I want to express myself. I want to express myself to Subome. So like he's trying to express himself, and that comes in the form of his meter that like flashes up on the top of the screen, like his progress to explosion. And like once he finally reaches that explosion, it's just a minute long scene of him just yelling out at everyone around him, like all the problems that he sees, and he's like, "I'm not taking it anymore. You guys are wrong, and you're a crazy person, Dimples. And what are you doing, journalist?" And like just him lashing out at
Yeah, just
everybody.
lashes out, and then he just kind of everything explodes, and he calms down. He's back to normal Mob, and then he explodes again eventually. And
Yeah,
okay,
and that was my problem with the explosion thing. Like I didn't really feel like anything really important
it
happened.
wasn't significant enough for me to be like, this was a whole episode of waiting and watching this counter in anticipation, and then realizing it was just really just him pulling out all the stops for this one fight where the guy didn't even really seem to do that much to him.
Yeah, like I thought it was gonna be like okay, and you have Mob pre-explosion, and like we take like 3 episodes to learn what that is like, and then we have Mob post-explosion for the rest of the series. And we grow to love Mob post-explosion, and he like has to grow in himself and be like, okay, now I'm an expressive person. I'm normal in this world because of this explosion. And I have to become a better person because of it. But that doesn't happen at all. He just stays exactly the same.
Yeah, there was no change on a personal or like physical level at all of Mob. It was just kind of, I'm exploding, and it could happen again, but I'm showing no signs that it will or won't happen again, or that I've changed.
Yeah, and it just makes the whole explosion thing feel teasy and just being like, ooh, you should watch the next episode and see if Mob gets closer to explosion or whatever.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like at this point, it's kind of like he could explode as many times as he wants, but unless something really major happens, I don't really care. And they really could have taken that right out.
Yeah.
Unless something ends up happening, like the next one or the next one, or
And that was my hope with that green lumpy space princess coming up. But now that I know it's Dimples, I'm like, okay, well, that actually had nothing to do with its explosion. So
yeah,
literally, the only thing that came of that was his 1 minute freak out moment, and that's pretty much it.
yeah. I'm hoping that Dimple is kind of like a better mentor in terms of, because he is a spirit, so he knows spirits. He might be able to teach Mob some stuff, because if Reagan is left to teach Mob all this stuff, and somehow Reagan just knows what works, even though he's never experienced any of it, that would be kind of weird for me. I feel like that'd be a major plot hole where you have this very reliable character that you can go to and be like, he's a spirit, so he knows about spirits. Boom, that's an easy connection to draw. But then you have this wannabe who, for some reason, knows everything about everything. You're like, okay, well, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it would just seem like Mob is never progressing as a character. It's just a story of him in stasis with Reagan the entire time.
Yeah,
My only concern for that Hope is that Dimples doesn't really become a redeemable character during that battle. He just kind of stays the villain throughout. So I'm
yeah.
almost wondering if Mob's going to get sabotaged by Dimples and if that's going to spur character development, but I don't really know at this point.
I assume that because in the little synopsis that it says that he aligns himself with Mob, it means that he is like kind of changed and becomes Mob's kind of like spirit
Yeah,
guide of
like
sorts.
that would make sense.
Yeah. Hopefully that's what they go, or that's what they do with it, and hopefully they make it an interesting relationship and not just like a, hey Mob, I'm a spirit, so I'll tell you some stuff about spirits, and he's like, okay, thanks, and then he's just gone.
Yeah, and he doesn't just take on like a Ryuzaki role from Death
Yeah.
Note where like he's just teasing Mob the entire time and taunting him.
Yeah.
So that's Mob. I don't think we really need to do a pro and con on him because we gave way more than that. So I mean, we're obviously going to skip Taruki because we don't know who that is. And
Yeah, not yet.
do we know who Sho is?
No,
No, we
episode
don't.
10.
No.
Ritsu is.
Okay, younger brother. We can talk about him.
Yeah, Ritsu is Mob's younger brother.
Okay, so I like Ritsu. I think he's a strong character. I think he represents.
He's got a lot of potential.
Yes, I think he's a lot more expressive. I'm just noticing it now that like I think in these wikis they have every character's blood type listed.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because I forgot that Japan is like and like Asian countries are super obsessed with what someone's blood type is, and they think that it determines a lot of like their future in life. So that's very interesting. But
yeah.
Yeah, so Ritsu, I like his relationship with Mob. Yeah, no, I'm just picturing Rob from Nintendo. Like he's like
Rob Psycho. Just hey, what's up? I'm Rob. I'm a robot.
I'm not expressive now with my emotions. I just shoot lasers at people.
I just shoot lasers at people.
No, but honestly, I think Rob has more character development than Mob at this point. Like, yeah,
at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, like just going back to that Super Smash Brothers brawl. I don't know if you did the Subspace Emissary, but like basically where Rob comes from is the main villain in that is like the bomb maker, and like the whole thing is like they're creating black holes to like absorb the world and bring it into the subspace. And like the bomb maker is like Ganondorf, and ultimately I forgot the big bad guy, like the blue guy, but. And like he's a puppet for them, and he's just making the bombs, and like he thinks he has more power than he does, and eventually he's just stabbed in the back by Bowser and Ganondorf and the one guy, and like it's a super sad thing. So like it makes you really appreciate Rob. I don't think that's really something we see in his one letter changed counterpart in Mob, but we're talking about Ritsu. That's right. So we haven't really seen that much with Ritsu, to be honest. It was just the one scene where. He defends Mob from his mom.
Table.
Yeah, so like there really isn't that much to say about him, to be honest.
But the fact that he is an Esper opens up a lot of stuff for Mob and Ritsu teaming up together.
That's a good point. I didn't even
stuff that would only strengthen their bond. So hopefully he is badass and as good as Mob. If not, maybe even a little bit worse would still be fine. Just as long as there's another Esper that Mob is close with, like his brother, that's cool enough for me. So
yeah, I didn't even put that together. And do you like the choice to have him be a younger brother, not an older brother?
I think the fact that he's a younger brother's fine. Because it's quite literally just a year behind, I think.
Yeah.
So it's if it was like much younger, I'd be like, I mean, now we got a kid in here, and it's just kind of like, I don't know. You'd have to make the show a lot more childish, but they're both kind of out there, and they're both a little bit odd and weird. So I assume that because they're of a certain age, they can kind of interact pretty well, and I don't have to deal with them trying to dumb this show down at all.
Yeah, that would have been really annoying. So that's pretty much Ritsu for you. Obviously, we're going to skip, what's his name, Katsuya, because we haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, because he's not even in the anime. He's only in the manga.
Yeah, do you think it's worth talking about Dimple? Should we just talk about like what he was like in the cold episode and not address...
Yeah, I don't think we should address anything else about him because I've only seen him in the episode where he was in the cold, and then the episode at that little snippet that he was just above Mob. Like, what's up?
Yeah, no, and obviously I haven't either. I was not looking forward to taking notes on more episodes. So,
Yeah.
so how would you describe Dimple within that episode?
Well, as a cult leader, I feel like I really missed out because I felt like they could have done so much more with him. He was just kind of this stereotypical, he's just this stereotypical evil guy. Really, he's just like, oh, all these people are under my control, and then Mob's like, I'm not under control. He's like, you will be, haha. And then he tries to beat it out of him, and then obviously that doesn't work, and so he basically just threw himself into Mob's arms, and he's like, all right, don't kill me, and Mob's like, ah, too late.
Yeah, and like it was just the fall that you always see with every supervillain that has the power. Like they can't accept that they're going to lose to anybody, so they're like, oh, I have to put all of my resources into beating this one person and never cut my losses. And then he ultimately loses because of it, and like it's
Yeah,
super obvious, and like you can see that that's going to happen the entire time. You're like, dude, do you want to rule the world? Just give up on Mob and let him leave. And I think at one point, like one of the people who was hypnotized is like, just let him leave, and he's like, no, I have to beat him, and like it just create. Like, what did you think of that milk drinking game? Did you think it had any broader
I
significance?
thought that was really stupid. I didn't know why that would make people laugh, but it was kind of funny. It was a little entertaining portion because the whole cult meeting was kind of like meh, and then before the fight, of course, and it was just like okay, well these are the masks that people put on, and obviously those masks hypnotize them in some way. So and then he's like, all right, we're putting the mask on Mob, and then Mob takes off the mask and he's like, why is everybody laughing? And he's like, why aren't you laughing? And he's like, I don't know. Am I supposed to be laughing at something? And he's like, oh, it's not working. But he underestimated Mob completely, and so it was kind of funny. But that milk drinking game,
Yeah, that was stupid.
it was just like, bah! The guys were like,
Yeah,
he
that's a
went 1-on-1, and then he ended up manipulating Mob into laughing, but Mob like wasn't actually laughing. He like poisoned the milk or something.
yeah, and that was the
That was
only
kind of confusing.
that was the only time that I felt like the emotional expressiveness of the show really worked for it, like to create an actually funny scene and not just all these dumb scenes where like Mob is like and literally like melting away whenever he's running, or like Tomei's like just going completely over the top. I felt seeing those people like just making the most ridiculous faces, or like them spitting their milk out in like the most violent ways was fairly interesting. So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, and like Dimple, he just has the obvious supervillain wants to take over the world and uses whatever powers he can to do that. So there really isn't much to say about Dimple. I wish we could have gotten more backstory on him, or like where did he get his powers, or whatever. But I'm sure we're gonna get that in the coming episodes.
Yeah, hopefully they go in depth about Dimple because I do like the character. He has some potential.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all the characters. We could talk about the his mom or his dad or whatnot, but they really don't have a major part in the story.
Yeah, I don't think that the mom or daughter are really going to make much of a difference because they're not even in the character list really. So they're just minor, non-plot threatening or non-plot altering characters.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to talk about the themes of the show, or get into the OP?
We can get into the OP. You can
Okay,
start.
cool. So just something. So like, I'm a really big fan of the Weebcast podcast that I've mentioned a couple times. By Jeff Fu. Like basically, they just review every anime that's comes out in a given season, and just talk about the great things about it. And one of Jeff's biggest things is he likes to do a "What's in an OP" series, because he recognizes, and this is something that I've taken to heart, the fact that a strong OP, it can make you stick around an anime a lot longer, even if the anime falls off. Because like the OP lasts like a good minute and a half, and if you have a good EP too, and for anyone that doesn't understand the terminology, OP is just the opening song and like the visuals that go along with it, and the EP is the ending song. I'm not sure where the P comes from, but whatever. So like
Yeah,
that's literally like 3 minutes out of like the 22-minute or 24-minute runtime of the show. So that's a big portion, and like when you're marathoning these, that can become a big thing, and like it can really help to keep you around a show that like you may not be watching for the plot or whatever. So that's a really big thing, and I think this show had a really weird OP. Like what did you think they were going for in it?
I I don't know. It was just trippy, honestly. It was just so much going on, but I liked the song, but the entire sequence, the animation of it was kind of confusing because they were counting. But then they stopped at like 49, and then the thing ended, and I was like, "What?" It's called Mob Psycho 100, but they were counting up and everything was going well, and it was like, oh, okay, this is cool. They're gonna get to 100, and then it's gonna end, and it's gonna say Mob Psycho 100, and then it's like, okay, no, it ends at like 48 or 49. I was like, what?
Well, actually it does get to 100, but the thing is
How?
they skip like 50
I
numbers.
don't hear it.
So like here, I actually did like a literally a frame by frame breakdown of it. So let me just go to the frames where they start counting again.
Really?
Let's see. Where
Here,
is
I got it.
that?
I had the whole video.
Okay, yeah, you can just listen to that, and you'll probably hear it then. I can't find exact. I guess I didn't mention what numbers they were on at each moment, but no, they go up to like 39, I believe, and then they stop, and then they go to like 79, and they just go up to the end. They never actually say 100, but they say like 99, and then it flashes to the opening screen, obviously. But the biggest thing from the OP in terms of music, I felt like it was going for like the same thing that most go for, honestly. It was a little bit of techno stuff, a bit of rising in the beat, dropping in the beat, a lot of discord going on throughout, like that really gets into the chaos of it. Like it's not like discord as in like something like a Giratina's theme from Pokemon where it's all discord, but they definitely do add some discord elements so that like there is chaos within it, and that's a big theme that they're trying to convey. What else? A bit of rock instruments, so that's standard J rock. Quick transitions, and yeah, like just chaos overall, and just not a busy sound from the song, but that's more than made up for in terms of the visuals. So like the biggest thing from the visuals is they're just trying to throw in anything that you see from the show, and even some stuff that you don't, into the visuals, and just have it like cut in a way where like you don't really know what's going on, and like you have to try and piece it
Yeah.
together, and you have to be like, is there some deeper meaning here? Probably not, but I'm going to try and find it anyways.
Yeah,
And
it was all super chaotic,
yeah,
but I definitely see what you mean. They go from like 29 to like 72, and you're like, okay, well,
yeah,
that's fine.
and 72. Okay, yeah, I thought it was 79,
Oh,
but
I have no clue. I was just 20 something to 70 something, or even I don't know.
yeah, whatever. Exact number doesn't really matter, but
It doesn't matter. The fact that all that matters is that they skip numbers and they never actually say 100, which kind of
yeah. But I kept track of the actual seconds that like each scene was lasting, and like they were all like 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah,
So
I mean
that
the whole opening's only a minute and a half.
yeah, so like they are making it a very busy opening where like they are trying to throw as much information as you can possibly take into it, and literally the only way I was even able to understand any of it was I had to keep pausing like every 3 seconds and be like, okay, what's going on here? Okay,
Yeah,
there's
like
giant there's a nuclear bomb that just transformed into a vegetable. What does that mean? And like just
yeah. At like 27 seconds in, there's just people with no legs being human rockets, and then the entire body improvement team dancing and working out on mushrooms. And I'm like, what?
yeah, and I was gonna say like there's some weird Japanese imagery where they're doing the future motion from that SpongeBob episode SB129. Like where Squidward's like future.
Future!
Yeah, like there's just
Yeah.
like 50 Japanese people doing that in the background, and you're like, wait, why are they doing that?
Yeah, and then basically from 45 seconds on, it's the same scene just adding onto itself.
Yeah,
And then it cuts. Oh, actually, from 45 to like 50 seconds ish, it's about the same scene. But that scene is probably the most chaotic because I had no clue what was going. There was Ferris wheels of everybody's different heads, and then I don't know.
that was actually
Just
my favorite scene from the OP. I like when movies do that, where I don't actually watch movies, so like it's just any media where like they have a large scene, they just do a pan over the entire scene, and like they change the perspective to do what you can actually see, and that's exactly what's done in this 7 second scene where they start in the bottom right hoist, and then they just pan left, and like you go past a merry-go-round, and then you like go past the standard biblical tree of knowledge, because Japan is a bunch of Christian imagery for some reason that I don't really understand. Maybe that was an
yeah,
American
I don't
thing,
that. Yeah,
but
I think that
like
was a westernizing thing. Just oh, boom, biblical. I was like, okay, buddy.
yeah, just think Death Note if you're not really sure what I mean. And
Yeah,
then like it just goes into like a bunch of really crazy transitions where like people are eating people, and then people are eating food, and that food eats people, and like it transforms into other
yeah.
food,
Like
and then
Dimple became one of those little like I don't know. They weren't bonbons. There was something else, but it was something that Mob and Reagan were eating.
yes, Yeah.
and then he turned into one of those and then popped in Reagan's mouth, and that's just trying to throw back to the hey, I've seen that scene somewhere in the show, and it's like yeah, you have, and we just put it in the intro, so
Yeah.
that's not okay.
And one of the most interesting throw-ins that I saw was this one alien guy that looked like a gray Invader Zim, and like I had no clue
Do you
what
know where he is?
here, let me find the actual second. I couldn't. I didn't actually. Here, let me just do a Ctrl F for Invader Zim. 50 seconds into 53 seconds, and like it's just a scene where like he has a gas mask on, but it's
Oh, the guy with the gas mask. Yeah.
yeah, like I had no clue what was going on there. I couldn't tell if it was space imagery. It was definitely technological. Is that going to be like a contrast between like technology and like the spirit realm? That could be interesting. So like I didn't really know what was going there, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
don't know what that symbol is because that symbol is in the eye of his gas mask, and then that's also in the next scene. Like it carries in the next scene. It's like a two eyes of Horus attached to a weird looking four. I assume it means something inside of a triangle. It's at like 53 seconds. You can see it very clearly in the background.
Yeah, I've never been the cryptography type. And then it
Yeah,
just gets into the nuclear bomb that I keep referencing. And
turns into a broccoli stem, and then there's a
yes,
bunch of vegetables and various fruits and vegetables just around it, and then you're like, what is this? And then that turns into Dimple, and then Dimple turns into the food, and then
yeah,
Reagan eats the food, and then I don't even know what happens at like
yeah. Like it just
a
starts
minute
flashing.
in. It's just a fucking LSD trip there, and Mob is just dancing side to side.
Yeah, and then you get into that shadowy figure from the opening scene in the show, and I'm curious to see what you think of that scene. I'll get into that in a minute, but like they flash back to that and like him going Super Saiyan or something, and then
Yeah,
they
like
just
just absolutely destroying a city. It seems behind him.
yeah, and then they just provide a visualization for the like the countdown going up, and like they go into like the Marvel comic book style where like it's flashing, like the opening credits for like Marvel where like you have like the comic book and like it's flashing over the actual letters for Marvel. That's kind of what they were going for here, and like that lasts for
Yeah,
like 15 seconds and then it
yeah, I
closes
saw
out.
that. I was like, they're so ripping off Marvel with
Yeah,
this.
like totally.
But that shadowy figure, I can just based on analysis because I like to go in depth in things. I assume that is someone from Mob's school because he's wearing the same uniform that Mob is, and that's the school uniform. So unless a bunch of schools have the same uniform, he's wearing the same black with gold buttons, and even in the where he's illustrated and not animated, right before that like lightning strikes or whatever he does, he like you can tell that he looks like a student, like a boy, and not like a full grown man. So I assume that he's someone the mob ends up having an encounter with. I thought maybe it was Ritsu for a little bit because he has that kind of hair,
Yeah, but that'd be kind of
but I
weird.
don't know. It would be cool if Ritsu was that badass, though. I really hope that's the case.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting, but I don't know. But yeah, and I'm sure that'll either that's going to come up later in the show, or it's just symbolic of like espers and their life outside of the real world. And it's like, hey, you can be in the real world and you can have no clue what's going on, and you can have to deal with all these weird people, or you can constantly fend off a bunch of spirits and have this crappy life that's like in a grayscape and like it basically looks like what hell would be if it wasn't like some biblical sense
It's
where
like
like it's
Limbo.
yeah, essentially. So that's what that is, and yeah, that's basically the OP. To me, I thought the biggest message coming out of it is it's trying to say that this show is chaotic, busy, and a bit off the wall, but it has some strong themes. And like it seems like that's definitely something that the show tries to convey. Like it's not just being busy for the sake of being busy. Like it has a message to it.
Yeah.
Like that, you would hope that that would be the case in every anime, but you'd be surprised. Like some anime, they don't really care.
Yeah, some anime, they're like, hey, you know what? This is just artistic. Okay.
Yeah.
They're just trying to get past that obscenity clause, isn't that right, Ryan? It's got artistic value.
Yeah. And like I didn't have any time to actually go through the EP, and when I say I didn't have any time, I mean I just completely forgot to and noticed right now that I didn't write anything for the EP, so we're gonna skip past that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I can look it up real quick and just
Yeah, like
yeah,
from
Mob Psycho 101. Okay.
yeah, maybe
That's
that's a
EP.
sequel.
When I put in EP, they think I mean episodes, so I'm gonna do outro.
Yeah. And from what I remember of it, it was just like a noir scene where like it was either Mob or Reagan is like sitting around in like a normal chair, not a chair, like a room, and like it was kind of playing off of the song from like the 80s maybe
I
where
don't think this is correct.
here let me
This outro that I'm watching is definitely not the correct one because this is Pretty sure it's not.
Here, I'll send you a link to it if I can find it. But like it's playing off of that famous '80s song that's like "Take Me."
Yeah,
On.
Take on Me by Aha. I know
Yeah.
that song.
Hopefully, I didn't get a copyright infringement for that, but
Probably not.
I think it was short enough.
Yeah, like in this outro, somebody's smoking and it's all hand drawn. Like none of it is animated.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Is this correct?
Yeah, the
I think
first
that's Reagan smoking and then Reagan watering his plants. It's Reagan, I think.
yeah the first link for Mob Psycho 100 outro that pulled it up.
I don't recognize it for some reason. I feel like I should definitely recognize this. Maybe it's just been that long since I saw it, or maybe I didn't watch the full outro the first time.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't in the first episode, and I think that
But
was
then
why.
he's walking up behind Mob, and Mob is a little kid, and then Mob grows
Yeah,
as he's walking towards him, and then turns into color, and Mob looks back at him like, "All right, we going?" Actually, he puts his hand on Mob's shoulder, and then Mob's like, "All right," and then they're walking down, and then that's the end of it.
yeah. So it doesn't seem like there's actually that much to this one.
No, it's really you can't really analyze that very much. It's just a hand drawn Reagan waking up and knowing that he needs Mob, basically.
Yeah, and just establishing that like there's an actual relationship there, which I think anyone should have been able to take away from watching the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the EP, that's the OP. We talked about the plot, we talked about the characters.
I think we've gone in depth as we can, honestly.
Well, we haven't really talked about the big themes from the show.
Yeah, we can't talk about the themes.
Okay, let me see if I actually have the themes up. Doesn't look like I actually wrote down the themes anywhere. Maybe we're not going to do the themes.
Let's see what r/Mob Psycho 100 says on Reddit. It says, what's the theme of Mob Psycho 100? It says, I've only seen 12 episodes, and the anime is absolutely amazing, but I've been trying to figure out. I guess it gets better. I've been
Yeah,
trying to
seems
figure out
like
the theme of this anime for a while. I have a couple of guesses. I still can't really put my finger on it. Don't feel exact about it. Does anybody else have an opinion? Oh, this is such a long response.
All right, make sure it's not spoilers.
It only had 28 upvotes. This post only had 6 comments, so.
Here, I can just read my.
It's okay to run away. If you have a skill or gift, use it to benefit everyone and be a productive member of society. Don't be selfish and trying to take over the world.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Having a talent is like having a knife. If used properly, it can boost productivity tenfold. If used incorrectly, it will selfishly damage everyone and everything around it. Don't point knives at people.
Okay, that makes sense.
There's a bunch of these.
So maybe the explosion starts to take a little more importance.
Yeah, hopefully. But I'm not gonna go through all of this because I don't want any spoilers. I didn't read it, so I'm not gonna read through it and pre-read it to see if, just in case, because I don't want to get spoiled. So
yeah, no, I don't blame you for that. I wouldn't do that.
I think it might be a little bit early to do a theme analysis, so maybe we come back after watching a few more episodes.
Yeah.
And do a theme analysis or major themes analysis because I know there's gonna be more than one.
Yeah. Okay. So at this point, I think I'll just conclude by reading out my overall review that I had for the show, just to summarize what we had.
Okay.
Okay, so just to start, despite initial concerns from the first few scenes in OP, Mob Psycho 100 proves to be an exciting anime that should be on anyone's watch list if at all interested in the supernatural genre. The story follows the character Mob, aka Shigeo Kageyama, a Japanese middle schooler with an incredible talent for controlling the supernatural and banishing spirits haunting his world. He teams up with mentor Reagan Arataka, a magic pretender, where they bond and grow together, learning to be comfortable with oneself. However, notable characters introduced in the first episode include Mob's parents, his mom typifying the scolding Asian mom that expects perfection from her child, while his dad demonstrates a strong bond between father and his son in Japanese society. Along with his relationship with his father, Shigeo also knows that he can always go to his younger brother Ritsu for emotional support, whether that be to bend his bent spoods back in place, or be the soundboard desperately needed for his placid tween. Outside of his close circle, the character Tsubome found herself highlighted briefly, seen as the object of fascination for Mob. Moreover, though, the only classmate he does not see as food. The plot follows a relatively simple structure, with the paranormal team tackling an easier job, utilizing some readily accepted downtime, then climaxing with a more important second job that will test their bond and abilities in exorcism. Comedically, the show attempts to engage its audience with intellectual humor, jokes eschewed, and thankfully acknowledged by the characters, reminding the audience an actual dialogue occurs. Nevertheless, with them moved quickly past by those that were targeted. The use of such jokes never found themselves hampered by poor voice acting, though, as all voice actors in the dub, at least, proved solid, with the only gaffe thus far coming from the choice to be cliche in giving the shrunken boss Jin in the first episode a voice akin to one from Alvin and the Chipmunks, adding an unnecessarily grating frequency to the show. Artistically, the show contains many strong elements featuring strong base character models, detailed backgrounds, animation that, while unremarkable, does not find itself detracting from the story, and a unique OP. For the base character models, particular focus was given to analyzing those of the main character and his partner, seeing Mob's continually placid embodiment following the Damn Sun style, displaying the requisite bowl cut and nondescript clothes. Reagan, Arataka's model, harkens back to another famous Japanese legal figure, Phoenix Wright, of the eponymous video game franchise, adopting a similar stance, build, and type of suit differing in the color of it, beige versus blue, and hair color, black versus blonde. The more abstract scenes of supernatural power usage draw upon likewise abstract art styles, reminding this writer of scenes from the often usually empty backgrounds of the children's show Caillou, especially in the drawing of borders and treatment of colors. This can be seen in the initial scene with the purple background really popping against the initial moon-like landscape, and the white floor so textures as to resemble a cracked eggshell. Stylistically, the writers decided against the utilization of an EP, at least for the first episode, instead opting for an end credit scene played to background music with a preview for the next episode following this. Though some persuasiveness of the show is lost in this choice, the OP does its best to compensate for the lack of an equal to close. The OP of Mob Psycho 100 has so many elements jam-packed within it as to lead scenes to last 3 seconds or less, a very beat-heavy presentation that attempts to convey all the themes of the show. Musically, the song starts with a light beat followed by a techno ramp-up, typical to the J-pop the song draws influence from. From there, it follows with a crescendo, remaining at that peak before descending a bit with an added J-rock background, before continuing the crescendo to the highest pitch. What this song does brilliantly in sound is how quickly the transitions occur from the highest pitch back to the original endpoints of the previous crescendos, creating a link to the chaotic sound needed to better balance its sound. Following this, the chaos returns with a held discord, while the chorus drowns it down, continuing to a conclusion that expertly concludes not a second too late. Most songs have the problem of not holding the end note long enough, however, seeing as this OP's ending features a held note, the focus would be on not holding that discord too long. Lyrically, the 90-second presentation is very simple, counting up to 100 in allusion to Mob's progression as the show goes on to his full power, reached when he explodes at 100%. What the lyrics lack in complicated message, however, the visuals more than balance out. Aesthetically, the view starts at a neon cityscape panover, introducing the setting of the show to the reader and showing the inundation of magic to Condiment City. Following this, the oft-used zoom-out places an outline of an eye in the foreground, demonstrating a continued theme in any supernatural anime of mastery of the senses, most often beyond the normal 5, providing critical value in attaining any control over one's power. After this, we see a moving image of Reagan and Mob on the job, a pan of the characters to be later introduced, followed by Mob in the foreground now with his mind blown, reminding of all the scope of the power held him and Reagan are trying to control. Skipping past some weird scenes seemingly copying SpongeBob episode SB129's future sit-ups and a scene of Reagan with his back turned to the viewer, we see another character's mind being blown, and a being similar to a lumpy space princess from Adventure Time, one we later learn to be Dimple, but given thus masculine, but green, sorry, not given, thus masculinized compared to the original's purple. Moving past the icy rock star that made no sense, there is an important scene comparing of Mob rolling on the ground in a fetal position above a Croft circle. I believe it's pronounced that way, like those circles that you see that people claim aliens make.
Yeah, they're usually called crop circles because they're usually done in cornfields.
Yeah, and like it just Mob in the fetal position is surrounded by the characters exclaiming and just like being overly shocked in all corners, possibly signifying Mob breaking down as he becomes more expressive within the show. Carrying particular significance, Mob, usually powerful, in control of all situations, appears broken here, pointing to his power being challenged later in the series, a good opportunity for character development from someone who thus far displays few flaws. After this, the romantic interest of Tsubome finds herself featured over square tunnels, with Mob looking at them, followed by a long, for this OP, the pan is a whole 7 seconds long, leftward pan of drama masked demons, the devil himself, followed by continued time and sign images. The focus on time remains hard to parse in the first impressions viewing, however, this review remains convinced the significance of time and direction will reveal itself as the anime continues. After a more chaotic slash busy pan, prominently featuring a possible allusion to the Tree of Knowledge often seen in psychological anime, a Black Invader Zim ripoff enters the foreground with his featuring not yet seen in the story. Following more to be revealed later, the Illuminati? Question mark. The OP takes an odd turn, drawing what presumably would be a connection between Mob's brain and the heart, a nuclear explosion coming from that, and the mushroom cloud transitioning to broccoli. Yes, the vegetable. Afterwards, Green Lumpy Space Princess, aka Dimples, returns in a more chaotic form, followed by a rapid zoom out of the characters eating images, basically just the regular morphologist's fever dreams, to add the weird factor that the OP seems to want to go for. Eventually, the frame settles on a shadowy figure hit with lasers and other paranormal attacks, possibly the same figure from the opening scene of the series, ending with it going what can only be described as Super Saiyan, possibly exploding like Mob supposedly will later in the series. Perhaps the character even represents Mob. To close the jam-packed visuals of this OP, the title display takes precedent from the highly popular comic book movies of today, featuring what resembles a flip book of the characters in black and white, as the character zooms out to display the title. With the exception of the gaff, audio-wise, and possible flaws in characters like Tomei and Mob, Mob Psycho 100 displays major successes in plot, artistics, and themes, and for that, this writer will watch on and recommends anyone on the fence to invest 30 minutes it takes to do well.
That was really well put.
Yeah, I think that constitutes as the longest monologue that we've had on Topical. Sorry.
Oh yeah, most certainly.
Yeah, sorry, Arad. I think that beat you out. Honestly, I might have to edit that down. To be honest.
I think that you covered everything that anybody would want to know about the show, and you give enough information about everything, quite literally. Yeah. And that is a very good scene by scene / frame by frame of the OP. So
yeah, maybe I'll snippet it out and like do a TLDR for Topical 23.
Maybe
that could be interesting. Okay. But I think that basically covers our feeling on Mob Psycho 100.
That was a good hour and 20 minutes of Mob Psycho. That's not bad.
Yeah, I think the plan is we're going to watch the rest of the show and then come back on, talk about it, and then we'll just go into whatever we want to after that. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's Mob Psycho 100. Something I wanted to get into after that is any other anime that we've been checking out recently / want to highlight from our previous viewing. So I know you mentioned at one point that you were purposely not watching other anime while you were reviewing Mob Psycho 100. Is that something you kept up, or did you?
Yeah, no, I haven't watched anything else at all.
Okay.
Even when I watch TV shows, I tend to stick with one unless I really like one and then I really like another one. I'll watch both at the same time. But usually, I tend to just watch one to completion and then just move on.
Okay.
So most likely I'll just finish Mob Psycho so I don't get any other plots mixed up in my head for the review. And then you and I can sit down and talk again, and we can find an anime that you haven't seen and I haven't seen, but that we'd both like to see or we'd both like to try. And if that doesn't work out, then there's thousands of options. So
yeah. Okay. So and that was what I was figuring. I'm the exact opposite type of reviewer. I like to just take notes and then just trust that my notes were correct and then not rely on my memory at all. And then just watch a bunch of other stuff along the side. So I've watched, how many total ones since I've last watched Mob? I finished Keijo finally, which was good because that show fell off massively from the first half. I really enjoyed the first half. Second half sucked. Like, it was just bad.
That sucks.
Yeah, and I definitely see why it was canceled and didn't get a second season. made perfect sense. The pacing went way too fast, and like they just played way too heavy into like the more sexualized elements of the show. I wasn't sure if
Ah,
I should go for a naughty elements or whatnot. And I'm not really sure if it's ecchi or not, so it probably is, but it's a sports anime, and I'm not sure if a sports anime can be ecchi. So
no, you can definitely get there. I'm sure.
yeah, okay. Well, if any
Leave
show,
it to anime to get into make anything etchy.
yeah. So if a show where that just entirely revolves around a sport, and then you can only hit other people with your boobs and butts, that's what you
Yes.
get. Yeah, and they just only focus on that in the second half, and you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, it completely fell off in my book. Aside from that, I finished High School DxD. Super happy about that. Third
That's good.
season was not as good as the other ones, but that whatever. Now I'm just waiting for the dub of the fourth season to come out because it seems like the show's never gonna end, which it isn't good because I like my shows to kill off characters, and you can't do that in a horror anime. But so that's High School DxD. I recently started like a couple days ago. No Game, No Life, and I've been loving that. It's been absolutely fantastic. I was going to talk about that for a little bit. No Game, No Life basically is any gamer or like a game theorist dream type of anime. So it basically revolves around a brother and a sister who have a really tight bond, and like one that really engrosses you in the show, and like they're up at like all hours of the night as all gamers do, and like they're just doing games, as you do. And one of them's
Yeah.
playing chess, and the other one's just I don't really know what he's doing. He's screwing around, I guess. And like I guess they just get too good at the games and like they get sucked in, and suddenly they're transform. The world around them is transformed into a fantasy world that I don't remember the name of. It's like Gametopia or something. I don't know. But so within this world, like it revolves around 10 different rules where that basically devolve into like all conflicts must be resolved by playing a game with someone else, and in playing that game, you must have a bet on it, and both sides must agree that like they're making an equal bet, and whoever wins, they take all. Whoever loses, they're sad. So that's basically how the show works, and that makes for a really fascinating premise because immediately you have awesome game scenes, you have high stakes throughout, but you don't have people dying, and like that's not something you have to worry about. So inevitably, when people aren't dying, you're not like, oh, this sucks. Oh, I wish people were dying. That's not the point of the show. The point is like you can see people like being pushed through limits, or like they lose everything or whatnot. I was concerned initially when I was watching it that it was going to turn into a gambling anime, and I don't like gambling anime because I think they don't work in a lot of ways. Like
No,
you
I
have to
don't think
just keep
they would.
you just keep having to ramp up the stakes over and over again, and eventually it just gets nonsensical. But it's not a gambling anime. It focuses on the main character's bonds, and one of my favorite scenes. And you should let me know before. Are you planning on watching the show?
I might.
Okay,
It's only 12 episodes, so I figure I might watch it. But there's also I was just looking at popular gaming animes. I think I want to watch Death Parade.
okay.
That one
So
seems pretty interesting. But go ahead and talk. Any spoilers I'll probably forget, so it'll be all right.
okay, yeah. So something that I really loved in the show was how they just immediately established that the main characters they don't pull any punches. So like what I mean by this is like the very first it's either the very first episode or the second episode. They're immediately confronted with a scene like a tournament that's being staged since the Elkian King, the Elkians being the humans in this world in the same way that like Star Wars has a bunch of different human races. This is just the human race in this world. They're staging a tournament to determine who the next king is going to be because, like that Canadian that had like $1 million prize pool for the woman that could have the most pregnancies within like 10 years or something. This guy said, hey, whoever's the best gamer can be the next king of Elkia. So you're immediately thrown into this, and you're like, okay, obviously the main characters are going to jump into this tournament. But they start by showing the granddaughter of the late king. I don't know if he just didn't have like a daughter or son or something or whatever, or like they died in childbirth. I don't know, but like you have the granddaughter, and like she's fighting some person who is obviously like a villain in the story, and she's shown immediately to be cheating. and that immediately introduces a very interesting element in the show where cheating only matters if you get caught, which I'm sure anyone has realized who's smart enough to see through games. So then you have to wonder, okay, is cheating going to be a big theme in the show? Is it going to be like that one anime where you have like two different type of I forget what the anime is called, but like there's an anime that revolves around like the Japanese standardized testing system, and like how there's two different types of people: the people that actually try and be good at the test, and the people that get really good at cheating on tests. So like I was wondering, is it going to turn into one of those? Thankfully, it didn't. Like it doesn't really care about the cheating thing at all. But she obviously loses because of the cheating, whatever. So eventually, the two main characters call the princess back, and she's like, "Hey, you know those guys cheated, right?" And like she's like, "Oh, really? Why didn't you tell anybody?" And I don't really know why they didn't, to be honest. But eventually, she's like, "But I want to prove that I'm actually good at games because you guys are so high and mighty about your skills and how you could have easily beaten her." So like they get into a game of rock paper scissors, and they spend like literally 3 minutes analyzing all the possible game theory behind rock paper scissors, and like they do psychological warfare, and they're like, "Ooh, I think he's gonna play rock, but I should play paper. But he thinks I'm gonna play paper, so I should play scissors. But that gives me a 2 in 3 chance of winning based on this table we're gonna flash onto the screen." It's just a really cool thing because like it gets into all the characters' heads, and eventually they lose. So immediately, like the big bet that they make is the princess has to fall in love with the main character. So now you have a love interest immediately in the story, and like she's stuck to the main character basically for the rest of the anime. So that's great. And I think I'll leave it off there, but if we're getting into too many other spoilers, because I think that gives a good introduction for the show. But it's just a really good anime. It's ecchi, but the biggest thing is they don't overdo it, and that's a really big thing that you have to find in ecchi anime, where like they're gonna like you obviously got the good elements of ecchi, but it's not all ecchi, and like
Yeah, I feel like there's a very fine line you have to walk to make it good. It sounds from what you said that there you can basically find anything you're looking for in here. There's love interest, there's gaming, there's seems to be not necessarily suspense, but competition at the very least, and
yeah, and like there's a strong character bonding. Like I don't know if
characters are well developed.
yes, and like I don't want to understate how strong like the bond between the brother and sister are. Like it's a really powerful bond, and like in a lot of ways, like I can relate to it, like just how they get along with it between like me and my sister, and like how they do it, and like that's a big thing for me. I don't know if other people would relate to it in that way, but I think they're pretty enjoyable characters. And like comedically, I love that they don't pull any punches. Like that's my biggest thing in anime. I don't want to see you pull any punches. If you're
Yeah,
making a joke, I want you to acknowledge it and be like, "Oh, that's a good joke, man. Hey, give me some fives or whatever." Like
give me some fives,
I
multiple
don't know what
fives.
I'm not cool enough to do that kind of stuff, but I don't know. Dab me up. Is that what they do?
Dab me up, mate. No, it's fine, Ryan. Don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Give me a. I don't know. I was gonna say give me a fish or something. That's not what people say.
Give me a fish, what, Ryan?
I don't know.
You owe me a fish now. What?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of the slang terms for like a high
Um,
five.
do you want me to read you the little synopsis of Death Parade? See if you're interested in it, because we could watch that together, or I can watch it on my own.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So after death, there is no heaven or hell, only a bar that stands between reincarnation and oblivion. There, the attendant will, one after another, challenge pairs of the recently deceased to a random game. Where is it? In a random game in which their fate of either ascending into reincarnation or falling into the void will be wagered. Whether it's bowling, darts, air hockey, or anything in between, each person's true nature will be revealed in a ghastly parade of death and memories, dancing to the whims of the bar's master. Welcome to Quindasim, where Dasim, arbiter of the afterlife, awaits.
Hmm.
So this is kind of like you just said you don't really like gambling animes, but this is like a life or death, play for your life type of thing, and I feel like that could be pretty cool.
So who's the and that and I think this is very important. Who's the main character in this anime? Is it the
I think the main character is supposed to be the attendant,
Okay, that's
and
good.
then yeah,
Okay,
it
because I was
it, it
worried it was
seems
gonna
as
be.
such.
I was worried that like it would be like the first half of the first episode is like the attendant just having everyone lose, and then all of a sudden the main character comes in, he easily wins, and they just go from there. But no, if it's the attendant, that's interesting.
Yeah, let's see. Uh, it looks like it's possible that yeah.
Okay,
Oof.
that'll be interesting. I think what we'll do for that is I'll have you like screen the first couple episodes or something, and if it's worthwhile, I can check it out, and then If not, we can just find something else because there's no shortage of good animes out there.
Yeah, it seems as though the main character is the bartender.
Okay.
Because I'm watching, like, I just kind of skipped a little bit into the first episode, and it seems as though he says the same spiel to every two people that come in, and he's like, so this is what's gonna go down. You're gonna fight for your life.
Okay. So yeah, I'll just have you screen that and then we'll.
Yeah, I'll probably watch the first few episodes of it. It came out in 2015, or the first episode was 2015. So it's not too old, pretty new, but it went from January to March 2015, 12 episodes.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that's worthwhile.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you were talking about with this snow. That snow still has not come to me.
That snow has stopped for me now. I looked outside not too long ago because I have two windows that I can see from my desk. Even though it is dark now, it doesn't look like any of it really stuck either. It's like 35, 36. So I don't know.
I guess.
Hey, I got something we could talk about. How about colleges? You hear back anything from anybody?
Yeah. So obviously, I'm done at this point. I was super surprised because I was expecting it to come down to the last minute, but literally every college decision came out before April 1st when I
Yeah, it
thought.
was very confusing. Everybody was like, "Oh, we're done early." I was like, "What do you mean you're done early? They just changed the decision deadline."
Yeah, that was weird. I guess it was just like an absolute last day that you could expect and to hear from them. I wasn't really expecting that coming from teachers where I can expect them to say, oh, the grades will be in next week, and then they're in on like the last day of the quarter or whatever. But
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that happened. So basically, coming out of that, I mean, I guess I'll just say up front, I'm probably going to Case Western Reserve in Cleveland, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
I toured the college again, still like it just as much. I can get single dorms. I don't even have to have a roommate for the first year, so that's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like basically it was the best liberal arts of any of the tech colleges that I was looking at, and it also had the best tech stuff aside from Carnegie Mellon. But I can't trust Carnegie Mellon at this point, so you know.
You can't trust them. Did you get waitlisted?
No, unfortunately I didn't, but
So why can't you trust Carnegie Mellon?
because I was hoping to get in and I didn't.
Oh, yeah. I kind of turned my back. I was pretty happy that Virginia Tech lost. Because I didn't even get waitlisted. They just straight. I mean, I didn't get in. I got waitlisted, and I was like, you know what? You're gonna make me wait till July 1st. I hope you lose, and they lost. So.
Yeah, good point.
Same with Michigan. Michigan denied me completely. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Okay.
But I'm gonna end up going to Pitt. I think I got in, and I'm gonna major in statistics for the first year, and then I'll switch into the engineering school and do computer science for the last 3 years.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So first year statistics, Ryan. I'm going to be traveling from Pittsburgh to Cleveland. You can help me out. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we'll be pretty close to each other, to be honest.
Yeah, we will be pretty close to each other. It's like a $40 train ticket from Pittsburgh to Richmond. So I'm going to be able to come home like quite a bit, and I'm sure I can go to like New York City, Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit, all those pretty close by cities. If I really wanted to, I could make the trek north to Philadelphia. But I thought that would be really cool. We could definitely visit each other.
Do you mean east?
Huh? East?
Yeah, from Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh is southwest Pennsylvania.
No, it's parallel with Philadelphia.
Fuck, am I stupid? Hold on.
Yeah, like Pittsburgh.
Oh, it is parallel with Philadelphia. I don't know why I thought Philadelphia was northwest. I'm such an idiot. Yeah, all right. Yeah, it is east.
Yeah, which I only know because I went on the dreaded highway between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Like in the middle of the night, one time when we were
76.
Sure, whatever. And like somehow it avoided all of those crazy ghost towns in Centralia and whatever. On my crazy escapades during my 9 colleges in 5 days tour over the last spring break.
Yeah, when I went up and visited RIT in Rochester, there was a guy there that was visiting every Northeastern college in like a week and a half, and I was like, whew. Like every major college, not every college, but like he was visiting Rochester, he was visiting MIT, he was visiting Penn State, he was visiting Carnegie Mellon, he was visiting, I think he was also visiting Case Western. But either way, Pittsburgh and Cleveland are not far away. Oh my! And my uncle lives directly between us.
Yeah,
my uncle lives in Youngstown, Ohio, which is right there.
Yeah, and maybe we will meet up at some point. Yeah. That could be interesting.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, because I always hear people in college talk about visiting people in other colleges, and that never made sense to me. But I guess if you're close, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, if you're friends, there's no reason not to keep touch if you're close enough and the opportunity presents itself.
Here I'll look up how far it is by car. But yeah, that's interesting. And one of the people that on my second visit to Case Western, amazingly, they were going visiting 12 colleges in 5 days. So
Oh my.
first of all, I don't know how that's possible.
I
Like,
don't. You're gonna have to have multiple visits in a day, over twice a day, and then have like 3 in 2 days.
yeah, it's like
Uh,
literally like you. It's hard enough to get like two in one day. I don't know how you would get three in twice. Yeah, it looks like it's only 2 hours away, so that's not terrible. Huh.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe like once or twice. But
Yeah, I'd probably take a train anyway because I'm not gonna have my car there.
yeah, no, me either. I'm not gonna transport that by plane.
No.
But
Are you moving by plane?
we're not sure yet. I think they're gonna drive me out the first time, and then from there it's just gonna be
Yeah,
plane.
I think I'm driving up. I have to go. There's a thing called Pit Start, which is like a
Ah,
orientation program.
that's good.
And so a $300 enrollment fee, $100 of that was actually enrollment, $200 of that was for Pit Start. So I have to pick a date, and I get $10,000 from the college. I have $6,500 from something called Panther Pride, which is just a first generation Panther or out of state, something. And then I got a $3,500 subsidized loan. So,
Hey, it's not bad.
and then I also have 529 that's going to pay $10,000 a year. So I'm still like 20K short. So scholarships are going to hopefully help me through that. But otherwise, I'm going to have to take out some hella loans.
Yeah, no, and it certainly could be worse considering. Like I was looking at some of those colleges and just looking at Carnegie Mellon, which obviously wasn't giving
Yeah,
any
Carnegie
any
Mellon's like
scholarships. Yeah, no,
seventy two
that's
thousand a year.
insane.
Yeah,
Like I thought it only ever went up to 50,000, but yeah, that
yeah, no, because like you go to a place like MIT, and it doesn't matter whether or not you're in or out of state. MIT is like 45, right? But Pittsburgh is like 43 out of state, and I was like, oh my god.
yeah, that's not bad.
Um, but my hopes, this is what I'm hoping. So first year I have to stay in the Dietrich School, which is their arts and sciences school. It's just their normal people school.
Yeah,
And I have to pick a major, and I was thinking either physics or statistics, but I chose statistics because it's more helpful in computer science, and I also really love statistics. So first year is going to be statistics, and then I'll move into my computer science courses, move into hopefully the School of Engineering, and then probably try and transfer to Carnegie because they're both in Pittsburgh.
yeah.
So
I mean,
because they almost share a campus, I feel like I could probably get a foot in at Carnegie or even an internship with Carnegie. I don't know, but that's my hope because it would look much better if I got a degree from Carnegie than if I got a degree from Pittsburgh.
yeah, especially if you're only getting a undergraduate, which I would assume you were doing if you were going
Yeah,
into
I'm
computer
starting
science.
bachelor's and I'm going to get a company that I work for to pay for my master's and doctorate. I'm not. I plan on doing it. It's just I'm not trying to pay my own way through it.
No, it's way too expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely aspire to at least get a master's, though. I have no reason to not get a master's because if it's something that I love and I have the time and money for it, I would definitely like to do it. So,
No, 100%. Like just the way I see it right now, it almost looks like a bachelor's degree is requisite in the marketplace. And even though like some talks from my history teacher last year, Mr. Henry, tried to convince me otherwise, and would say, and would like every day he'd be like, "Oh, my friend from high school who always slacked off all the time and didn't even go to college, yeah, makes $100,000 every year as an
you're
aerospace
like,
engineer."
that's
But and like obviously there's examples of those people everywhere, but it seems like
yeah.
it's easier if you go through college. So
Of course, it's much easier to land. I was telling my friend was really like he was kind of down in the dumps because he didn't really know where he wanted to go with his life, and I was like, he's like, I need options because I don't know if I want to go to college. I was like, okay, well here are your options. I laid it out for him. I said, so you can go to college, and you can't guarantee yourself a job, but you can guarantee yourself better opportunities than if you were to not go to college. You can go to vocational school and be a skilled worker and make enough money, but you're never going to make a lot of money unless you become an entrepreneur. Or you can skip college altogether and work probably no more than $20,000 a year unless you become an entrepreneur. So the entrepreneur is like the exception to all of those rules. But like, there's also people that go through with their college degrees, get a bachelor's degree or even a master's, and then do nothing with it,
yeah,
or they're overqualified, Jesus, for the job that they get. So it's just a matter of getting the perfect fit, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like it's just raising your probabilities ultimately.
Yeah, and just the fact that the value of a bachelor's degree is slowly diminishing. Hopefully, I can get into that spot before this recession that's supposed to be hitting pretty soon is going to hit, or hopefully it hits while I'm in college and not when I get right out, because it would suck to get a bachelor's and know that I can get out and make 100K, but then can't find a job for anything over 40K, and it's just going to be really annoying.
Well, I'm predicting like 2024, 2025. So
Yeah, so I'm hoping that I'll either already have made enough money to keep myself a little bit comfortable by then, or I can get lucky and find a job that's still willing to pay me.
yeah, and no, it seems like we should be fine overall. It's not gonna,
I think it's
are people talking about
also
a
based on our
recession?
degrees.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mr. Hickam says that. I mean, every economist, not just Hickam. Hickham's kind of an idiot, but
yeah, because literally every economist predicts
yeah,
it and like a
every
recession every other
economist
day.
predicts it like every year.
Yeah,
But apparently, just due to cryptocurrency, along with Trump just being Trump and doing tariffs and such, they're like, this is probably going to be pretty soon. So I'd say definitely before 2025, and if not, then not at all, really.
yeah. And like the problem with the currencies, it's fiat, so like it never has any value. So like it's all just
Yeah,
about confidence, and as long as you believe in the American system, then you're fine.
yeah, basically. And then of course they all dipped. They have all dipped multiple times. So it's just a matter of oh, the market crashed. Oh, it's back.
Yeah, and like the biggest thing is what America's been doing for the past 60 years is just building up the persona of America. So like that's what how you build market confidence. So even if like the market actually collapses or like the value is below what the country claims it is, then does it really matter at a certain point?
Yeah, no, it's just a matter of people being scared. I think.
Yeah, and
people
that's
are people are people are scared of it and they don't want it to happen, but eventually it's going to happen. They just have to understand that you have to be prepared for it. The thing that they do is they get scared, but then they do nothing to prepare for it, and they're like, oh, well, we knew it was coming, but now it's here, and shit.
yeah. And what really worries me about this next recession is it's going to come very close to when the projected singularity is going to happen.
Yeah, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, because like that one's gonna just throw capitalism out the door, so that's gonna be bad.
Goodbye capitalism.
Yeah, and like I don't know if a lot of people are aware of that, but like capitalism is under threat right now, where over production of goods is like creating a situation where either companies have to withhold their supply to constrain the market value. You see that in countries like Saudi Arabia, where they have like a either they have like a money bank so that their currency doesn't lose value, or like an oil bank in the form of OPEC, where like they don't put all of their stuff on the market, or like their thing actually loses value, or like you see that in like the diamond or the gold market, where we actually have a ton of diamonds and gold. It's just it's not on the market because like the countries that have them are like storing them and hoarding them so that
Yeah,
they
they're hoarding them so that they can keep the value up, because they would know that if they had that vast quantity and they introduced it to the market, the price is just going to plummet for
yeah.
anything. I mean, that's basic economics right there.
Yeah, and like we're seeing this in more and more different markets, and like that can only last for so long before it's just everything is in over supply, and like when that happens, prices for things go down, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the cost of living has to go up. So
No,
like,
it doesn't.
so that creates an interesting situation where like you have to wonder, does it matter if an unemployment rate goes up, and like does it not? What happens when 100 and like 50% of the population is unemployed, but they still have enough money to live, and like do you even need money at that point?
Yeah, is money even an object that we need if everybody is able to support themselves without earning the money? And they're like, well, not really. And I
Yeah.
feel like I don't know what system we would turn to at that point. We just kind of everybody would just kind of live. There wouldn't be a need for buying this, buying that. It would be very odd. I don't think we'd be able to adjust to whatever system we go to in the coming generations. It wouldn't just be oh yeah, now we're doing this, and everybody's like, oh okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, and ultimately, historical precedent just says that ushers in a whole different system of economics, and
Yeah.
obviously that's always chaotic. Like, there's never a time where it's like, ooh, the new economic system came out, and like you just looked out the door and you're like, oh, there we go, new
There we
economics.
go. It's perfectly everything's well adjusted. Oh nope, okay.
Yeah, like the best example of that is the switching of Eastern Europe from a marketplace to a communist system. Like that was
Yeah.
very bloody, obviously.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't have to be in terms of war; it can be in terms of
That was not a
poverty.
smooth transition whatsoever.
No, that was very rocky, especially for Leon Trotsky, but whatever.
Rip Trotsky.
Yeah, poor
Ugh.
Snowball. So yeah, obviously we're not excited about that, but we are excited about college. And like, are you starting to think about what you're going to be doing in college, like outside of the classroom?
Oh, they have so many clubs. There, I'm probably going to join if there's an anime club, probably that. But most definitely, if there's a gaming club, it seems as though they might have an academic team as well.
Ooh,
So I'm definitely going to shoot for that if that's a thing.
I mean,
In which case,
most colleges have a quiz bowl team.
yeah, in which case, if I do end up participating in the quiz bowl team, you should participate in yours and see if we can compete.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they are pretty close by. So I wouldn't put it past one of either of those colleges saying, okay, we're traveling to Pittsburgh or we're
Yeah,
traveling to Cleveland.
and I think they have a rivalry, if I'm to be honest.
Yeah, so could be all right.
Yeah.
But I'm just excited that I finally got in somewhere, and I don't feel like a loser for getting into none of the colleges that I applied to.
No, 100%. And colleges are always weird. Like, do you remember when I said that UVA just outright rejected me?
Yeah, I was
Like,
really confused. I told my parents that because they know a lot about you, obviously, because I talked to them about you
yeah, and
most
they've met me.
times after and they've met you after academic team. I just kind of come home and I'm like, so Ryan did this, and they're like, oh yeah, is that right? And I told them about UVA, and I also told them about Carnegie, and they were like, that's crazy.
Well,
I was like,
I mean,
yeah,
Carnegie
that's
wasn't
insane.
crazy, but yeah, UVA, that was ridiculous.
Carnegie wasn't as crazy, indeed. Yeah, because Carnegie's like a 7 to 12% acceptance. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was gonna be really upset if I didn't get into Pittsburgh because I didn't get into their engineering program because they only have like 500 seats
Oh, wow.
in the program.
That's
Yeah,
nuts.
so it's a very exclusive school of and a bit. It's all right. It's like 43rd for computer science, so
That's
that's
pretty
why
good.
I'd like to transfer somewhere else to be a little bit higher up because Virginia Tech is like 80th or something for computer science. Like it is not a good time.
Yeah. Which is weird,
But
because, like,
University of Maryland's like number 8, and I was like,
damn, that's pretty good.
actually no, wait, no. University of Michigan's number 8. University of
Oh,
Maryland's like top 20 still. It's still above Virginia Tech, which is
yeah,
that's
no.
College Park though specifically.
Yeah, no. Like, that's the only one that I know by University of Maryland, but
And I was so excited to go there as well because so apparently the way that their application worked was I filled it out to the completion, right? And then they changed one of the sections, and so it unsubmitted my application,
oh, what?
and I didn't know, and I never received an email. So I went back, and it was like, oh yeah, your application's not done. Because I was checking out, I was like, okay, so who do I have to wait for? I'm going to see these times, and it was like, oh yeah, it's too late to submit your application now. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? I already submitted. So I didn't actually finish an application to Maryland, but they're building a computer science building fall 2018, and I was so upset when I heard that because I was like, that's when I'm going. I
Yeah.
could have been in an all new building, but I really liked Pitt's campus, so hopefully it'll be all right.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy for you, to be honest. It seems like that's a good solution to the problem that you were having, and like you've ended up pretty well off.
Yeah, because
Because
I was on the threshold of just staying here and going to community college. And
yeah,
that's just me, and that's just not me at all.
no,
So
no, absolutely not.
I think that a 4 year university is something that's going to be good for me, and I can transfer to basically anywhere I want as long as I show my academic prowess there. Because getting into college is much harder than transferring. Because once you're in college, as long as you actually try,
Yeah, and like as long
you
as you're
will
doing a
be
good job.
just fine, and you can go anywhere.
Yeah, and
So like
like
maintain a GPA of 3.6. I'm like, we're in high school, and I have like a 4.1, so I think I'm all right.
yeah, and like the big well, I think that's unweighted first of all, but
That is unweighted completely.
okay, yeah. Either way, it's still not that impressive, and like the whole thing, not the 4.1, the whole 3.6 thing, but like just yeah, it seems like they only really look at what you're doing in the college at the time, and the biggest thing is just are you in the college? Are you not flunking out of your classes? Would you provide any useful stuff to us? Are you doing stuff outside of the classroom?
Are you doing research? Are you interested in internships? Do you want to do a what are those called? There's these things that colleges kept talking about. They're like work study programs, but they're more just like straight up work in
Co-op?
your field. Co-op, yes,
Yes,
thank you.
that I've been talking about those the entire time. Like that's something that Case Western has been championing.
Yeah, everybody's been talking about co-ops, and it was like, see, I also when I visited Virginia Tech, I liked the campus, but I didn't like the message. It was all about
Yeah, I agree.
you volunteering and what can you do for other people, and I was like, I understand that, but I just want to come and get an education for myself, and
No,
then once
absolutely.
I've made my money, I can help other people.
Yeah, and like you
I
want to
can
get
be
your
philanthropic when I'm not dirt poor.
yeah, and like you want to get your foot in the door. Like you want to
Yeah,
actually be getting an education so that you'll have a workplace lined up afterwards. And when you actually work at the place, and it's not like an internship where you're you're getting the guy coffee, or like you're just sitting in on the meetings and not really doing anything. You're doing like hard work there, and like you're actually contributing to the research, or like you're like an actual employee that shows the company, okay, we can count on somebody, and like they're gonna get your case file, and they're gonna be like, okay, we already know what we're getting out of this person. And obviously, if you do a crappy job on the co-op, they're not gonna like you. But if you do a good job, then that's a known commodity, and that's what companies want to be hiring.
Yeah. Honestly, it's only a 5-hour drive from University of Pittsburgh to Toronto.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Toronto's just across from Lake
Yeah,
Erie.
you're even closer, actually.
Yeah, like I'm ridiculously close because
Yeah, you are much closer because you don't even have to bridge the entirety of Pennsylvania. You're already on the border of Lake Erie, and quite literally on the other side of Lake Erie's Hampton or Hamilton, and then Mississauga, and then Toronto. So
yeah. Well,
also, we're very close to Buffalo, New York, and Niagara Falls. Well, I'm closer than you a little bit. Actually, you might be closer to me to Buffalo than I am,
let me pull up
just
a map.
because you have that straight diagonal, and I have a. I don't know actually. Here, let's look at that.
Yeah, like something most people forget is like how far North Cleveland is. Like it's almost
Oh yeah,
parallel with
it's super
Detroit.
north.
Like it's almost parallel with Detroit. Like just how far
So
north it is.
it's 3 hours and 24 minutes from Pittsburgh to Buffalo. It is 3 hours 24 minutes. It is 3 hours even from Case Western to Buffalo.
Okay. So essentially the same.
Or if you want to take trains, you can take a train and then a Greyhound bus and then walk and then take another train, and that takes 8 hours and 16 minutes.
Ooh, a Greyhound.
Yeah, Greyhound. When you know that Greyhound is part of your route, you might not be doing something right.
Yeah, that's no good.
I did want to see what's. Can you get trains across Lake Erie?
I don't think so.
I don't think so because I don't think they have any bridges bridging between.
Yeah, plus Lake Erie's pretty wide.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, Lake Erie is really wide. Because I was thinking, what if I wanted to take a train to Canada? Where would I go? Would I have to go all the way up and then go through up through New York into Montreal?
No, I don't think you would have to do that.
Because
I think you would
unless
just
you go between through Niagara Falls,
yeah, I think
past pop up around Buffalo,
I think
there's
that's
no
what
other
you
way
would
to
do.
get in without going all the way to New York.
Well, unless you flew, but yeah.
Unless you flew. But I was saying specifically by train because that's going to be how I go, and I just wanted to see what I could visit.
Yeah, and that would just be for tourism.
Yeah, it's just for my own personal, because I've never been to Canada, and I like Toronto as a city.
Okay. Yeah, and because I never got into it, like stuff that I'm looking to do once I get into college, obviously, outside of research and academics, obviously.
I'm so excited for research.
Yeah, me too. Like I'm really looking forward to continuing the stuff I've been doing at Derry, but like what I'm really looking forward to doing in college, like outside of all that, I've been really getting into. I think I'm gonna like join either like a jujitsu team or like join a jujitsu class or something, and just start actually teaching myself martial arts, because that's something
Yeah, that would be cool.
that's something I've been fascinated by in like the last year, and like it's something that I really do want to get into, and it seems like college is the best
So you
time for
think
that.
you would want to get into MMA eventually?
No, because I don't want to get
You just want to learn the martial arts. You don't want to have to
no, like I don't want to get punched in the face, and like jujitsu is like the only one where I don't have to worry about getting punched in the face.
Yeah, jujitsu. You're just kind of worried about getting grappled and having your arm broken off, but that's all right.
Yeah, like because if you feel like your arm's getting broken off, you tap them on the shoulder and like, hey buddy, let's tone it down a little bit.
And they say, "All right, no problem, buddy."
No, break your arm! Ah!
No, I do it. No.
No, Rusamar Baharis! No.
So yeah, we're gonna actually not be that far away. I figured I didn't think you were gonna stay in state anyway, but I'm glad that that news finally came back to you and that you got into somewhere.
Yeah, and like what something I was thinking about doing was I also got into Wake Forest, and I was thinking that maybe I would go there, but I decided against it ultimately because
I mean, I don't think you're really the type for Wake Forest, honestly. Wake Forest is kind of a I don't know. It's kind of like a upgraded kind of like an upgraded Longwood.
that's
Longwood's
really
is a joke. Longwood's a joke, and Radford's a joke, and ODU is a joke. CNU is okay, but not if you're into any type of science.
yeah.
Basically, there are really no good schools in Virginia aside from Tech and UVA, and then George Mason if you're into game design, because
Well,
they have
William
really
and
good game
Mary.
design. Oh yeah, William and Mary. Shit, I forgot about that. Yeah, William and Mary's a good school too, but not really. Not really the route that I want to take.
Yeah,
Honestly, I
me
was looking at
either.
mainly tech schools because that's what I'm doing for the entire time is math and tech. So
Yeah.
if I was wanting to go to a liberal arts school, I would have just gone to somewhere else.
Yeah, and like that was my thing. Like, yeah, I can get a very similar liberal arts experience at Case Western that I can get at Wake Forest, and I can get 1,000 times better in terms of the tech. So why wouldn't I go there?
Yeah.
Like that was my thing. And like another thing that I'm really looking forward to about Cleveland is it's a major sports town, just like Pittsburgh.
Oh
So
yeah, major sports town, major city.
and
I went to Cleveland not too long ago, and I really loved it. We stayed in a really nice hotel, and I loved walking the streets. It was nice.
yeah, definitely. And like that's big for me because I haven't lived in a place where I can take a metro and like go 5 minutes and like go to a Cavaliers game or like
Yeah,
go
I'm
to.
excited to go and live in a big city because Richmond is nowhere near the size of these cities. Like I was hoping that if I got into College Park, I'd be very close to DC. It's like a 15-minute bus ride from College Park's campus into the middle of DC, and I was like, that's awesome. But Pittsburgh and Cleveland, they have these major transportation systems, major, huge amounts of sports. I'm sure there's plenty of shops and such that you could go to if you were really bored. You could just walk the streets and walk in and out of these oddity shops, and there's a lot of history in these towns. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping that, I mean, granted, not as much history as Richmond, but
yeah,
it's a little bit different.
and it's better history overall.
And it's much better history. Yeah, it's not a muddy history like Richmond's is.
Yeah, emphasis on money, but
Emphasis on muddy and also the color of mud.
yeah, but that's a bit on the nose. But but yeah, like that's something that I'm really looking forward to. I've never been in a big sports town. Closest I've been to that is like 45 minutes away from DC, and that's not something that's realistic because
Yeah.
you can be 45 minutes away from DC, but that really means 2 hours once you factor in the traffic. So
Yeah.
you know,
It's like an hour and 20 minutes is the total trip time, and it ends up taking like 2.5 because of that hella traffic on 95.
yeah. And like something I'm really looking forward to also is like there's literally like a little Italy that's like I don't know, like half a mile outside of campus. So like
Are you
that's
serious?
yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
maybe even closer actually. 'Cause, it's only like a couple streets over actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and like I love Italian, so that's awesome. And then yeah, like I just love everything about the city. But I'm really happy for you also because like just isn't Pitt like right next to Carnegie Mellon?
They share a campus,
Okay, yeah,
quite literally.
yeah, like just from walking around like the area just outside of Carnegie Mellon's campus, like it's an awesome location.
Yeah.
And like
It's I visited Pitt one day and then Carnegie the next. It was quite literally I just stayed in the same hotel and we just went like two minutes the other way.
yeah, and like it's literally like right in the middle of the city. It's the safest part. Like that's great.
Oh, they have a bicycle museum. Ryan, I'm so excited.
That's great.
Not to mention, Carnegie has a very nice museum as well.
Yeah,
And also Duquesne is there, so Duquesne has other stuff as well. There's the Heinz Memorial Chapel, which is not going to be me.
yeah.
But there's a lot of really cool stuff. There's a Mister Rogers Memorial apparently.
Oh, I thought that was Philadelphia.
Let's see.
Hmm.
No, it's in Pittsburgh. There might be also one in Philadelphia. No, this one is between Heinz Field and PNC Park,
Okay.
which is pretty crazy. That's just between those two major fucking things. There's a conservatory called Phipps Conservatory. That looks like a major. That looks like a major operation. I'm not gonna lie. This is like bigger than the botanical gardens, honestly.
Oh wow.
It's huge. Yes, you got Heinz Field, Bicycle Heaven, the Nationality Rooms. What is this? Huh. They're only open until 4 p.m. What is this? Oh, it looks like. Okay, that's interesting. It's like study rooms themed around quite literally a certain nationality.
Hmm.
They're in the Cathedral of Learning, which is, that giant tower. When you visited Carnegie, you could probably see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's part of Pitt's campus, so I might actually have a class in there.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. As you can all tell, we're both very excited for our college experiences. We're excited to hit the ground running when we get in there and really have a good time and do the things that most people don't associate with having a good time because I don't think either of us are the kinds of people that join fraternities or whatnot. But yeah,
I don't know. I mean, there's probably got to be some kind of nerd fraternity that we can fit into.
Well, yeah, but
We just don't know about it yet.
my concern is like they brand themselves as a nerd fraternity, but it's
Yeah,
secretly just a place for everyone to let loose and
yeah.
like I mean, why do a fraternity where you could just
If
invite
it
everyone to
was,
your dorm?
yeah, if it was a legitimate thing where they actually were all really cool, nice guys who had similar interests as me, and I actually felt at home there, then maybe I'd consider joining a fraternity. But otherwise, it's not really my thing at all. So
Yeah,
I'd probably just join a bunch of clubs and be like, these are my brothers.
yeah, because it seems like for the most part the purpose is just to get drunk and whatever. I mean,
Yeah, that tends to be what
maybe that's
happens.
okay, but like that's not
Especially
fun
because
every
I'm
time.
going to a major university, so that's just a major sports university at that. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
probably that's all it is.
oh yeah, yeah. Good point.
Yeah, because Pittsburgh's got a huge student body, and basically it's just any fraternity is just oh yeah, shotgun the beer, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and that's never fun, especially when Arnold Schwarzenegger walks in.
shotgun the beer, no,
Blah, blah, blah.
let me show you how it's done.
We're doing it in Austria. Uh, Poor Schwarzenegger.
uh,
You know that Trump presidency, it didn't go the way I was expecting it to. I thought it was going to end up like how Schwarzenegger's term went.
yeah. So you thought it was you enjoy where it's going, or you don't like where it's going?
No, I was hoping it would go like in the way Schwarzenegger took it. Like Schwarzenegger, he was like a big figurehead, and like that's how he started off, and like
Yeah.
he was just hardline Republican the whole way, and then after a couple of years, he's like, wait, this isn't working. My approval rating sucks, so he just turned towards the middle, and he turned into like one of everyone's favorite governors. He got reelected a bunch of times.
Yeah, I mean Schwarzenegger, and he really took shape after like the first trial period of what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
And then eventually he became a legitimate governor, and I was like, wow, good job, Arnold. So
Yeah, I don't know how he got elected the first time though.
I don't know. I think they were just like, yo, it's the Schwartz, and they're like, yo, okay, let's do it. I bet you, who was governor before him? Do you know?
I
By
I
off the top
I
of
feel
your
like
head?
his name was like Governor Brown or something, but
Because I just feel, imagine being in his position where you get voted out of office, and they put Arnold Schwarzenegger in your office.
yeah,
And
that
then
wouldn't be
you're
good.
like, he's doing such a horrible job, and then they reelect him. You're like, what?
Let me see. I think it's Jerry Brown, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Um, I don't know. It doesn't really matter either way. I'm sure it
Jerry
was.
Brown is the current governor of California.
Oh, it's not him. Okay.
Here we go. 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 Let's see. So where's Schwarzenegger? There he is. So Gray Davis. Gray Davis was governor from 1999 to 2003, Democratic, and he was the 44th Lieutenant Governor of California.
And he must have been horrible at his job if what did he get thrown out?
I don't know actually.
Well, I'm sure it was just a scandal or something. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, here's previous offices. You can see what he held. Oh, that was his previous office. Was 44th Lieutenant Governor of California. He was Lieutenant Governor, and then he became Governor.
Okay.
And then R. Schwarzenegger's previous was
Yeah,
chair of the President's Council on Fitness and Sports.
I was about to say that. Yeah, Minister of Sports.
Yeah, for 3 years.
I guess he did a good job.
I guess so.
Well, wasn't he still on steroids at that point? I feel like that's.
I can neither confirm nor deny these allegations.
Hmm.
He's 70 years old. Wow.
That's it. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
I thought that he was older than that, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
Pete Wilson, he is 84. Gosh darn.
Alright, so.
Wow, how the hell do you pronounce that guy's last name? Duikmijan. Dukmijian. George Dukmijian. Sure. From the 83 to 91, he was governor of California. He was also Attorney General of California.
Yeah, something interesting about governors in U.S. states is the people electing them, they don't really care what not presidential, political party they come from. Like you see in a lot of states, like notably in Massachusetts, I almost called it Boston. Like they,
Yes, the state of Boston.
like you got one state
What
that
is the current state of Boston, really, though?
you got one city that matters, but
Yeah.
I mean that's every state. But yeah, like they've had a Republican governor for a while, and like he's one of the most popular governors in the entire country, and like just a bunch of states where like they go against like I think Vermont has a Republican governor, and like just it's interesting that and governors are like the one things that people are willing to vote against party lines on.
Yeah.
I
I'm
wonder why.
looking at I'm super interested now because I'm looking at this list. There have been a lot of famous governors of California.
Yeah, because you had Ronald Reagan too.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan and Earl Warren,
Wait, who's
as
Earl
in
Warren?
Chief Justice Warren.
Wait, why is he famous?
Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
Oh, I thought you meant like in terms of
The
celebrities.
14th Chief Justice.
No,
No,
I
I
got
mean
that. I thought you
famous
meant
as
like,
in
yeah. Okay, gotcha.
yeah. No, I didn't mean like that necessarily.
Yeah, I thought you meant it was just like a Hollywood craze or something, and they're like, oh, let's elect all the celebrities.
No, but they did.
I mean, they
Wow,
did,
I
but
didn't know that Ronald Reagan was born in 1911. Holy hell.
dang, he was old.
Yeah, he died at age 93 in 2004. He died that long ago? I swear to God, I thought he died in like 2010.
Hmm.
Honestly, I didn't think it had been 14 years since the man died.
Yeah, actually, speaking of Reagan, I was looking at, and I wasn't looking at it, I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast because recently I got
Yeah.
back into that, and it seems like I'm not gonna be able to listen to him anymore for a while. I'll mention that later, but yeah, like he was talking about how like Reagan had like a bunch of really insightful things about him that he did, and like it's interesting that like most people don't talk about him. Like he had a really famous speech on how like if aliens suddenly descended into like the world, then the Cold War would end and like humanity would unite, and they would realize that everyone was being silly with all of their problems and differences, and that there's no reason why it should take an alien invasion for us to realize that. So like, that was pretty insightful.
Yeah. Did you know that Patrick Henry was governor of Virginia twice
I
on
didn't.
two separate occasions?
I didn't know that.
I had no clue because I was like, okay, governors. I'm super into this now, just looking at the lists. So Patrick Henry was the first governor in July 5th, 1776, until 1779. Then Thomas Jefferson, then William Fleming, then Thomas Nelson Jr., then David Jameson, then Benjamin Harrison, and then Patrick Henry again.
Hmm.
And then Edmund Randolph, and then Beverly Randolph, and then Henry Lee III, Robert Brooke, James Wood, James Monroe,
Hmm.
John Tyler,
Okay, a lot of presidents.
James Monroe again.
Hmm.
Interesting. Peyton Randolph. Who else looks interesting? James Patton Preston. James Pleasance with a beautiful top hat. Oh my. Oh, that wasn't even John Tyler. That was John Tyler Sr. And then his son, John Tyler. John Tyler was also a governor.
Okay.
Let's see, who else? John Rutherford. Oh wait, no, that's not even John Rutherford. That's John Rutherford with two O's.
Really?
So, William Extra Billy Smith, as in Extra Billy's Barbecue. Probably not.
Never heard of it.
Henry Wise. That is actually a barbecue place, though. Something like that. Who else? Okay, Extra Billy was also on two separate occasions. This is very interesting.
Yeah, like whenever I'm looking at those kinds of like lists of like people to hold office, I always just go to ranking like who has held the office the longest. So like I could tell you like the House of Representative members are like longest on the list, and how like some of them have literally been in office for like 60 years, and it's absurd. Or like the longest congressman, or like the longest Supreme Court justice, or like chief Supreme Court justice. Like for some reason, that's always the thing that I'm super interested by.
Oh, colonial governors. This is interesting. Here's a list of every colonial governor of Virginia. Holy hell.
Okay, well, let's not read them all out.
No, I'm not reading them all out. I was just looking. So they have governors of Roanoke, governors of Virginia Company of London governors, Crown governors, Commonwealth Protectorate governors, and Crown governors again.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
From 1585 to 1775.
Well, you all might want to look up a list of governors sometime and be surprised by either how exhaustive those lists go, or just how many different governors there are. Like even
and how many names you actually recognize.
Yeah, because apparently a lot of presidents have been governors, a lot of celebrities have been governors, a lot of restaurateurs have been governors. So that's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Captains of industry tend to become politicians at some point in their life, in one way or another. Politicians or philanthropists is really the only two ways they go.
Yeah, and they kind of go on both sides of the coin.
Yeah, because like Bill Gates, 100% philanthropist. Andrew Carnegie, kind of philanthropist, kind of into politics, but not necessarily a politician.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of yeah.
It's interesting how many of those big what do you call them, tycoons or
I call them captains of industry, like Carnegie, Ford. You got Vanderbilt. You got who's the fucking oil one? Come on.
oh,
There
you
we
mean
go.
Rockefeller?
Rockefeller. Thank you. So the difference between captains of industry and robber barons.
Yes, robber barons. That was what I was thinking.
J.P. Morgan, Andrew Carnegie, Andrew Mellon, Henry Ford, Rockefeller, Carlyle.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, it's interesting how many of those were actually philanthropists.
Yeah, no, they were. Most of them were very heavily, and Andrew Carnegie's a complete rag to riches story. If you didn't know that,
Yeah, no,
100%, like the definition.
yeah, like he came from Ireland and then like he
Came from Ireland with $12, and then ended up making like like he started off making like $1 a day, and then or $1 a week or something crazy like that. Hold on.
and like
I
even
wrote
for
it. I wrote it in a paper.
yeah, like even for inflation, that's still horrible.
Oh no, it's still horrible. He was born in Scotland in 1835.
Oh, I thought it was Ireland. Huh. Oh well.
Okay, let's see what we got. No, that's not what I want. I have to disable ad block because even though I run it on all the sites, I tend to have to not run it on a lot of sites because people don't like when I do that. Especially websites that I want to actually read things on. They're like, "Oh no, you got to disable your ad block, otherwise you can't fucking read." Okay,
I don't get that too much.
I get it on a lot of mostly when I'm looking for articles for economics. It's just like, hey, you can't read this stuff, and I was like, okay, thanks. So he moved to Pittsburgh at age 12. His family and also his two aunts, they all slept in one room.
Ooh.
He started working in the boiler room of a textile factory at age 13. He had nightmares about the boiler exploding. Then he took a job as a messenger in the telegraph office. He made an effort to get to know important people around town. At age 17, Carnegie took a job as a telegrapher and assistant to the local railroad man for an impressive salary of $35 a month. So over the next decade, he became essential to running the profitable railroad. And then a $217 investment in a sleeping car company soon paid out $5,000 a year. He helped form a pig iron company. That is his company, his iron company, to build railroad bridges. His investments became so profitable that his $2,400 a year from the railroad amounted to only 5% of his income.
Wow. That's really incredible.
Yeah.
And like just the fact that like you can make one investment and then it just all builds on itself.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a really smart. And then in 1873, he made his first Carnegie Steel factory, and then that took off as well.
Huh.
And then he bought the $40,000 acre Skibo Castle in Scotland in 1897. And then by 1900, Carnegie Steel produced more steel than all of Great Britain. Jesus.
Why? That's.
In 1901, Carnegie, at age 66, sold his steel company to J.P. Morgan for $480 million.
Oh, that's not good.
Half of which went to the Carnegie. The combined company was called United States Steel Corporation. I knew that.
You know, I was thinking that like J.P. Morgan was like like along with Vanderbilt and like a couple of the other guys, like he was one of the corrupt ones.
Yeah, I always thought that too, but I mean, J.P. Morgan ended up being the founder of Chase Bank, and Chase Bank is kind of renowned. So I kind of let my assumptions about him go off by the wayside, because he did seem kind of sketch, honestly. But he ended up just buying out everybody, honestly.
Yeah.
People don't understand how much money J.P. Morgan actually had, Because you say J.P. Morgan, you're like, you mean the investment firm? It's like, yeah, but not just the investment firm.
Yeah, and like all of the shareholdings that like he actually had, and that was the thing with him. Like he didn't have a lot of hard wealth. He just had a lot of
No,
it
he
tied in
didn't. He had a
assets.
lot of passive income.
Yeah, exactly. Like that would be compared to someone like Rockefeller, where he would just have a lot of money and he would just spend a lot of it because he was a good guy and like he invested in a lot of things. But no, Morgan, like he kept buying more and more things and like he just kept buying and buying and buying, and obviously that just tied everything down into hard assets over time. Like I never really know the economic terms. Is that like liquid assets or
What?
like when like you own a company or something, the money that's worth? Like is
That
that
is not liquid, I don't think, because liquid assets basically just mean assets you can move, quickly and easily. And I don't think you can move your holdings in a company as easily as you can move, cash out of a bank account.
Oh, okay. So what would that be called?
Um, they're obviously not frozen assets. Are they inelastic assets?
That that might make sense.
No, that doesn't sound right. Here, let's look. Liquid versus.
Hmm.
These are dry versus liquid measuring cups.
Okay. Hmm.
This is not what I want. Fixed assets. That's what they're called.
Fixed assets. Okay.
I was trying to remember the term. So liquid assets are assets that can be converted quickly and easily to cash without losing value. The most common liquid assets are checking and savings accounts, since you're able to withdraw your funds as needed.
Okay. And that's for common people, obviously.
Yeah, for common people. If you're like a high value investor, even then, it would really depend on where you invest. If you do like if you do a bond or a certificate of deposit, that is definitely a fixed asset. You can't take those back out. But if you have just like a checking account or a basic penny stocks investment, that's probably liquid enough.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Speaking of assets, actually, I just had to file taxes the other day, and by file taxes, I mean my dad filed them for me.
Yes,
Uh,
very good, Ryan.
yeah,
You've done well.
for tax day, and like everyone always bigs up like how much you have to. God dang it! I do that every single podcast. I have this stupid thing on my desk drawer that like it's like a drawer, but like it's on like a rolling
It's
thing.
just where you can set your keyboard and mouse.
No, I
It's
don't.
just a it's
Yeah, but I
just
don't
a
even put it
sliding
there.
table.
I literally just have like a giant pencil in here, and then like a what is this, a portfolio folder, and like I don't even know why this is here, but like the opening to it is very loosely held, so if like I just accidentally like bump my desk or like
It just opens, and you're
yeah,
like, whoa.
and then like it just does that, and like that's obviously it's surprising and annoying, but yeah, no. So I was filing taxes, and like everyone always acts like, oh, it's so much money that you have to give up for taxes and whatever, and like I thought it was gonna be a ton for me because like I'm a referee, so like they don't hold it back any of my money for taxes. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna be paying a ton, and I was surprised by how little it was. So like
Yeah, was it good?
I I mean I don't really have any perspective to be honest, but like how much money was it in total? So I think I got like something like $2,000 from refereeing in total over the past year, and I only had to give like 300.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, like
I mean, consider just the fact that you've really only made 2,000 means that they can't really take that much of it. But 300 is, that's a solid 1.5%, right?
yeah,
Am
but
I
like
doing that math right?
yeah, something like that. But yeah, like the thing was like none of that money was withheld. Like for most people, you have your paycheck, but like your paycheck already has money withheld for taxes.
Yeah. If you get paid through cash or under the table, then at the end of the year is really when the government comes and bites your ass. But it sounds like you got off pretty well.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of weird.
It's usually if you have been paying taxes, like obviously for you, there's really no chance for refund just the way that you get paid, because you're already not paying taxes on that until the end of the year. So the chances of you getting a refund are slim to none. But like for instance, my parents, they always get a refund because they usually don't make very much, but they pay a lot in taxes. And so at the end of the year rolls around, we get like $1,500 back just because we have paid too much over the course of the year.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. Like, do you guys usually do the standard deduction, or do you like keep track of all your receipts and stuff?
Like we only really keep track of like Goodwill donations, because Goodwill donations are tax deductible, and then also like any major activity that we do that's tax deductible, we tend to write it off. But otherwise, we do basic deductibles. Like we don't have any property holdings or anything like that that would cause any difference in taxes. So it's really just our income and then any deductions that we have. It's pretty easy to calculate.
Yeah, it seems like most people do that. Like I don't really understand the stereotype of like somebody who like has a box full of receipts and like they're going through everything that they've spent money on in like the past
See,
year.
that really doesn't make any sense to me because that's not even the government's not even concerned with that. They're just concerned that you are making sure that you're claiming the money that you actually have because they don't really care what you spend that money on, just as long as you have the money that you're claiming to have and you don't have some hidden away that they don't know about, because that actually affects the economy. Even though, so I'm sure thousands and thousands, if not millions, of people have that kind of money, but
Yeah, and like
yeah.
I just don't know where that stereotype has come from because of that.
That's like almost as bad of a stereotype as couponing. People are like, "Oh yeah, I have 29 drawers of coupons and I got a shed out back with 98,000 pickles," and you're like, "Okay,
Yeah,
what are you
yeah.
gonna do with 98,000 pickles? Are they apocalypse?" Okay, I'm done talking to you.
Exactly. Yeah, that ends all conversations.
Doomsday preppers are pretty confusing sometimes.
Yeah, and like I mean I don't have anything against somebody if they want to do like basic things, but like
Oh
if
no, I definitely understand a survivalist, but doomsday preppers just that specific. It's like the difference between calling somebody a weeaboo and an otaku. It's like an otaku is like, oh yeah, you like Japanese culture, you like sushi, you like anime, you know. But a weeaboo is like, I want to be Japanese, but I'm white and I'm angry about it, basically.
that's a good synopsis. Yeah.
But like
Thankfully,
survivalists are just like, oh yeah, I got a basic go bag ready, and I have like firearms training, and I know how to survive in the wilderness if I need to. And that's basically all you really need.
yeah,
But then there's people that are like, I'm building a bunker, and you're like, why?
yeah. Thankfully, we know no doomsday preppers nor weeaboos. Or at least I
Yeah,
don't.
you don't, but you might.
Oh, good
You're about to
point.
be exposed to a lot more people.
Yeah, that's a good point. College, yeah, and like those, that's something that I've found from like my college visits is like those the kinds of people that do those things. They look normal in public, and like they just have weird things that they do on the side.
Yeah, I wish that I could go through and not have a roommate because I heard you say that and I was like, damn, that sounds awesome. Because I really don't. I'm really nervous for that part because I'm not from the states, so it's not like there's any chance that there would be anybody that I know, and I just really hope I don't get paired with somebody that I just really can't get along with. Because I really don't need that kind of drama in my freshman year of college. You know what I mean?
No, certainly, and like
I hate drama of any kind, and if it's gonna be an issue, like my roommate is a slob and can't do anything or clean anything, and I have to do all of the work, it would be very annoying. Plus, also, I want to be able to get along with my roommate because I want to be able to play games and you know
yeah,
actually hang out with this person and have a relationship, so that I can not just walk in and be like, oh, my roommate's here, fucking god damn it.
yeah. I'm going to the library.
I'm going to the library. I'll see you next week. Wait, what? You? No, I'm sleeping there. Shh! Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, because like I don't know about you, but Case Western has a 24-hour library actually.
I didn't know. I have no clue about the hours of anything on campus, but all I know is that I think I get into football games free. So
Oh, nice. That's
I'm pretty
actually
sure
really
you have
good.
to. When I went to Michigan, you had to pay to go to football and basketball games, and that's it. You can go to any other sports. I was like, but those are the only two that matter.
Well, it will be it as it may. Those are very good basketball and football programs, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's
that
that's why they do it because they have some really good programs. But those are the only ones that I would want to go to, and I'd have to pay.
yeah. Like, what are you gonna go to the volleyball game or something?
I'm gonna go to the golf tournament, boys.
The golf tour.
The tennis matches are afoot.
Oh my god.
Zach Shearman just tennis. It's like, okay, buddy.
He talks about tennis?
Nobody plays tennis, and that's as laughable as if he were to start talking about tennis.
I didn't
He
know he
just
played
doesn't
tennis.
seem like the tennis guy.
I didn't know that. I thought he played
Yeah,
basketball.
and you know Jorian from computer science?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it
He's
doesn't
his
even.
tennis partner.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
What is this
Well,
hidden world I have?
one of his tennis partners, because I remember he posted something on his Snapchat story of he and Jorian like, the first duos dub, and it's like, wow.
Is that what he's skipping academic team for?
Who, Jorian? I don't know. Probably.
Hmm.
I ran into him leaving academic team the other day, and I was like, "Hey, Jorian." He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "Do you need a ride?" Cause it was like 4:15. It was like that day that we stayed kind of late because we were doing Chiat planning.
Yeah.
Oh, we should get into Chiat next. But anyway, I was like, "So do you need a ride?" He's like, "No, I'm just waiting on my grandma to come pick me up." And I was like, "How long you been out here?" He's like, "I don't know, like an hour and a half."
Oh my god.
And I was like, "Oh, damn. So you don't need a ride?" He's like, "No, it's okay." I was like, "Okay."
Wow, an hour and a
We
half.
should we should talk about academic team slash Chiat to finish this off because we are at about 2.5 hours of content because we were talking for like 5 minutes before.
Yeah, yeah. I think we need to lighten the mood after apparently Jorian, hour and a half. Wow.
Apparently, Jorian's just completely absent grandmother.
Yeah. I just can't believe that. Like, just like the crap. Oh crap! I forgot about him.
Oh no, my sweet boy.
Oh my god.
Okay, so do you want to explain the premise of Chiat, or do you want to explain, or do you want to just go at it and we'll explain as we go, or
I'll try and summarize Chiat up front. So basically, what Chiat is it's stands for the Clover Hill. Crap, I don't know what the I stands
I
for.
don't know what the I stands for at all. I
Uh,
think it's intramural academic
yes,
team.
intramural academic challenge. I think. And
What? T for challenge.
you know what? It's been a long day.
Intramural academic team or tournament, probably.
Yeah, tournament. Okay, not challenge because
Not challenge.
that's not a T.
You're correct. There's no T in challenge.
You know, I've recorded a lot of these. I've recorded like 5 of these in like the past 6 days.
Okay, Ryan, I'll give your brain a little bit of a rest.
Yeah, but basically what we do at Chiat is it's like a in past years it's been a outlet for an academic team at Clover Hill to just gain some exposure within the student populace and find new members for the next years. In that we like put a bunch of flyers on the walls and we're like, hey, do Chiat, it's fun. You don't have to be a member of academic team. You get to team up with either team up with one of your favorite teachers or you get to battle the teachers. And like it's always a really fun event and it's a good way to raise money and it gets the word on out on academic team because it seems like no matter what year to year, like we're always worried that like the club isn't going to exist the next year because like all the members are either seniors or like we have like one person that's an underclassman, and like we're always worried that like we're not going to have any team next year, and then we're always fine, but it's always a worry. So like it's a great way to get out the word. So like the academic team, we have to set up the entire tournament, and that's what we're doing this year. So what are some of the things that we're looking to create this year?
What?
Yeah, that was a horrible prompt. Let me start over. So,
What are some of the things we were looking to create?
sorry. As I said,
Ryan, I don't know if you're talking about our computer science projects, but
I'm also on like 2 hours of sleep right now.
oh, don't even hit me with that sleep crap, Ryan. Come on.
You know that? Yeah, you're right. I can't use that on you.
You can't use that on me of all people.
Yeah.
I'm running on about a half hour in the last 3 days. It's going all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, well,
Yeah.
reword your prompt.
Okay. So, Andrew,
Yes, Ryan.
how are we setting up the tournament?
We decided that it depends on the number of teams. I think if we said if it's between 4 teams and 6 teams that sign up with 4 players on each team, we were going to do a round robin tournament, and then if it was greater than 6, we were going to do a championship double elimination bracket, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. And basically, it's going to be. We wanted to get our rival school, Cosby High School, involved. Clover Hill and Cosby have a long-standing rivalry. Not really. But we have a pretty serious rivalry in all sports and also an academic team. But we have beat them at every turn, so they're not smart. Anyway, we want to get them involved, and we wanted to have our Chiat and their Chiat kind of combine forces, and that we would have our students and their students / our faculty and their faculty competing all at once. But we may or may not get that done. There's going to be a prize of a gift card of unknown value, whatever Clapton decides.
Yeah.
And basically, it's just going to be Ryan, Callie, Jake, and I are all going to be writing a series of questions. What do we say? 210 new questions, or 190 new questions, 210 recycled?
I believe it's.
Or is it backwards?
I think it's 210 new.
210 new? Okay, so we're going to be writing 210 new questions in the subjects of, what do we say? Science, music, literature,
math,
fine arts.
Math and.
Math and trash.
Yeah.
And history. Shit, I forgot history.
Yeah.
So anyway, 210 new questions in those fields. We already divvied it all up. If you want, in the show notes, Ryan can link you the document of our planning.
Yes.
If you're really interested in seeing how we divvied up all the questions. And then once it's done, once we're through with Shiat, if you guys want, we can probably post the packets that we made, as long as we take out the prior questions, because those are going to be used again, and we don't want those spreading around everywhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, basically, we are not allowed to participate, but we will have our fifth member of academic team, Hisham, who we completely forgot to put in the planning.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, he
he's
doesn't
kind
show
of an
up.
absentee member. He just kind of competes with us. He's going to be reading for us from the packets, because we have to find readers for all these teams. Are we allowed to read, right?
No, we're allowed to read, and I think the
Okay,
plan
okay.
was we would.
Okay, so Clopton will probably read. Maybe who's Clopton's friend again? That Asian
Mrs.
lady.
Russell.
I don't know her name.
Wait,
Mrs.
Asian?
Russell.
Wait,
Yeah, she's Asian of sorts, like Filipino probably.
I think she's black.
What? No, not the teacher. The one that comes to the competitions.
Oh, that person. No, I don't know who
Yeah.
that is.
Oh, okay.
No, I thought you were talking about
No,
Mrs.
no,
Russell. It's like,
no,
what
I
are you
wasn't talking
talking
about the teacher, because you're like, well, I'm pretty sure she's black. I was like, wait, we're talking about two different people. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, she's probably gonna read, and then her husband was there at the last competition, so maybe he would read. It's just a matter of figuring out all of that, and hopefully it will go off pretty well. I'm excited for it. I still, even though I told Ryan I would definitely write all of my questions over break, here we are, Saturday night. I've yet to write more than one question, so I'm going to be writing for quite a while.
Yeah. I can't say I've done much better, but at least I've done my bio project. Kind of.
You see, I don't have any projects due, so this was really my only work, and I just didn't do it.
Oh. Actually, I just remembered I have a calculus test I'm supposed to be taking over this spring break. I should.
I need to take notes for statistics.
Oh crap! I have to.
We have our open note stats quiz when we come back.
Oh, and I have to make that test up. Ooh.
Oh, that's right. You weren't there for the test.
Yeah, you know what?
It was okay. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Even though we apparently screwed up all of the homework.
Yes, because it wasn't on what was on the homework.
Okay.
It's on strictly hypothesis testing and not two sample testing for the means. Because when we were doing two sample testing, we were just not doing it right at all, because we were trying to find p, but we weren't calculating the p-value correctly ever.
Oh, that's weird.
And so over lunch, I decided to ask West, because he seemed to know what he was doing for the first time, I think, in ever.
Hopefully he doesn't listen to this.
He explained it. He explained it pretty well. I mean, he knows.
Oh, okay.
He knows that he's kind of. I think everybody in that class that isn't like 100% certain of what they're doing knows that they're just kind of aimless.
Okay, as long as they know.
They look to us, Ryan, for assistance, and you know that. Although I know kind of what I'm doing, by no means am I the smartest person in that room, and they come to us like we're Jesus.
Yeah.
They're like, Ryan, Andrew, did you guys do this one? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, what'd you get? And they were legitimately caring about what we said. They're like, oh, I didn't do that. And we were like, yeah, but it turns out we did it wrong.
Yeah, that's not a good come to Jesus moment.
I'm that's probably the best come to Jesus moment. I have no clue what you're talking about. Just being let down once and for all. I have no clue what she graded. Did you see if she graded the pineapple incident thing?
Yeah, I think she graded. Wait, the pineapple one or the one?
The pineapple one with just the 7 questions, not the packet that we did.
Oh, here I can check right now.
Okay, because I feel like because we did so badly on the packet, we might have completely botched that. But at the same time, I feel like we did well on it. And It would be really sad if we botched it, because everybody who looked to us for help, including Coleman, would just be like, "Ree."
Yeah.
Would not be happy with us.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look like she did. So that, but that doesn't really tell us anything, because she puts grades in so late.
She puts grades in so late, yeah.
Hmm.
It's just a matter of figuring everything else out. Is there anything else you want to wrap up with, or do you feel that this has been sufficient? Do you want to do some random questions? Anything on your mind?
Yeah, so like something that has been on my mind actually is have you ever played Plants vs Zombies?
The app or the actual game?
Oh yeah, good point. That console game is pretty good too. I meant the app.
Yes, I played all of the Plants vs Zombies games, app or console game.
Okay, so you've played Plants vs Zombies too?
Yes.
Have you seen the recent update that they have had?
I have not played it in at least a year, so I'm gonna have to say no.
Okay. So this is something I tried to talk about with Hope. I don't know if you know her last week, but
Isn't Hope the no? That's Amber. Who's Hope?
uh,
Have I seen have I been like with you and you've talked to her slash seen her? Because I
maybe
only
in the
remember.
maybe in the hallway, but that would be it. Just listen to that podcast and
Okay.
you'll see that. But basically, I was talking to her about how Plants vs Zombies 2 came out with a entirely new game mode with an update called Battles. And basically, how it works is it's a tournament relegation system where, like, just you know how relegation systems work, right? You just have a
Yeah.
bunch of tiers and like and top amount or something moves
Yeah. Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then yeah. Okay, so they created one of those, and basically how the system worked for like determining who won, and like it would work in head-to-head battles, and like you would get like a free battle every 4 hours, and then like every day you could like watch videos to get like what do they call it, like tickets to fight a battle or something, like
Yeah. I
obviously.
mean, it's the same system as the Star Wars app that I've been telling you about for the last like few months.
Yeah, like yeah, like same system,
All of
but
their arena battles are exactly that setup where you can battle like 5 times in a day, and then you have to purchase crystals to reset the timer. Otherwise, you have to wait for a certain amount of time.
yeah. And like it's just something that I've been having a ton of fun with because it's been something that I've been wanting Plants vs Zombies to come out with for the longest time. Like
Yeah.
the biggest thing that I wanted them to do was just do it like iZombie online, where I could just go online and
So that'd be fun. Yeah.
play like iZombie battles against other people. That's not what this is, unfortunately. It's just like it's like a normal Plants vs Zombies level, except you get more points if you kill the zombies closer to where they start, and like the person who gets the most
So
points.
the more firepower you have, the better off you are in terms of the total points. So it's just a points matchup. It's not actually a head-to-head battle. In
Yeah,
which
yeah,
like
I
you
see what you
both.
mean. Yeah, like it's a points battle against some other person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not like they are the zombies and you are the plants or
no,
vice
believe
versa.
me, I wish it was that. That would be
Oh,
awesome.
that would have been so much better.
Yeah, but it's still a lot of fun, and I think it shows a lot of potential for the game, honestly. And I'm tempted to like write an email or something saying just do an iZombie one, because honestly, I've been
Please
waiting.
do an iZombie one. Thank you, PopCap.
Yeah, because like, do you have a DS?
I used to have a DSi and a DSi and a DS Lite, but I have neither now.
Oh man, I was gonna say maybe we should do like a play, because I have the Plants vs Zombies DS game, and they have a multiplayer iZombie mode. And like
Yeah.
I've been trying to play it with other people because I've
If I
gotten
had one, I would definitely play it.
yeah, no, that's unfortunate, but
I played it on the Xbox 360, and then I played the second, like the console games. I played it on the Xbox 360, and then I played it on the, I played Plants vs Zombie 2 on the Xbox One, and then I've also played all the apps, but I've also played the app port to the console.
okay. Oh, I didn't know Plants vs Zombies 2 was on the console.
Yeah, Plants vs Zombies 2 is like the shooter version of Plants vs Zombies 2, not the
Oh,
actual Plants vs Zombies 2.
okay. I thought you meant Plants vs Zombies 2. Okay.
Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot the rest of the title. I was like, what is it called? I knew something Garden something.
Yeah. Is that any fun?
What? Oh yeah, no, those are both really fun games. If you like FPS games at all, they're like really, I don't know, they're kind of silly, kind of childish in terms of the art style and stuff, and there's not really much violence, but I found them to be quite entertaining. I played them for hours.
Okay, and I'll keep my eye on that because I've been thinking about getting that for a while. But you knew me, I struggle so much with actually buying games. So maybe if I can find
Yeah.
it for free on Steam or something.
Yeah, I don't think that they're free, but you might be able to get it for free if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it is an online game, so I probably wouldn't suggest that because it
Yeah.
probably won't work online if you get it for free in the way that I'm insinuating.
Yeah, it was just that would not be worthwhile.
Ladies and gentlemen, I do not condone any illegal activity, nor am I promoting it of any. Yeah, don't do it.
No, even though that's
You
the
wouldn't steal. You wouldn't steal a house. You wouldn't download a car.
Yeah, isn't that how the politicians do it?
Yeah, it's I saw a meme where there was a guy with just a regular wall adapter, and then he plugged a thumb drive into it, like an Apple brick basically, and he plugged a thumb drive into it, just plugged it to a socket in a house, and you wouldn't download a house. It's like, no, you're right, I wouldn't, because what the hell?
Yeah, that. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I'm just feeling delusional or something, but that does sound quite funny.
It was really funny.
Yeah, but like,
It's funnier. It's much funnier if you actually see it. It's kind of stupid if I just like, oh, you wouldn't download a host. Like this is dumb. This isn't funny.
yeah, I'll have to look that up then. But what are have you been getting into any new video games since like, we've last talked about it?
I mean, tend to just play with the video games I'm used to. But I mean, I have been playing a little bit of Fortnite, and I don't know if you know this, but I've been adamantly against most battle royale games like PUBG and Fortnite since the beginning because they're just not at all my genre, and I don't really think they have much value. But they just blew up completely overnight, and now anybody and their mom plays Fortnite, and so
And
you
their
just kind of
mom.
like,
Ooh,
yeah,
video games really took off.
and video games really took off.
Mom, I want to play video games. Get off the
Mom,
console.
Mom, you want to queue duos in Fortnite? Yes, son. All right, I love
Mom,
you,
I'm
mom. I love you
hungry.
too, son.
I need dinner, please.
I need dinner. Hold on, I'm about to be in first place.
It's been 2 days.
I haven't eaten in months, mother.
Yeah, but no.
Uh,
So you've been getting into Fortnite. I've been.
I played a little bit of it. I wouldn't say getting into it. It's not like I get on the computer and I'm like, oh yes, Fortnite. No,
Oh, okay.
not at all.
Yeah,
It's
because
just
like
I have played some Fortnite after being adamantly against it, or
yeah.
rather vehemently against it because I already used adamantly.
Yeah, because like I know for me, I'm super against PUBG because like I've just checked it out on Twitter, not Twitter, Twitch a couple times, and I'm like, this doesn't look entertaining at all. It
See,
look,
PUBG I actually like more than Fortnite because Fortnite is just like I don't know. It's a little bit childish, a little bit basic. But like PUBG actually has, there's vehicles, there's attachments, there's specific ammo types. Where in Fortnite, the whole building aspect of it just makes it a lot less, I don't know, a lot less fun for me.
oh, I thought that was
Because
I thought that was supposed to be the fun part.
that is supposed to be the fun part. But like, I have legitimate FPS skill, and the fact that I can get outclassed by somebody with a shotgun that just builds above my head and drops down on top of me is not as fun as actually sniping somebody from 500 meters away in PUBG.
Oh, okay, I
It's
understand
just
that.
it's a taste thing. It's not a skill thing necessarily.
No, definitely, and like for me at least, I'm terrible at FPS games. So like I thought that Fortnite having like a whole building thing, like taking it from Minecraft somewhat, was an interesting development, but. Yeah, I can see for someone who's much better at FPS games than me, that wouldn't be something that's interesting. And like be
Yeah,
it as it may, I haven't played Fortnite, so I don't actually know if it implements it well at all. Like I'm picturing literally like Minecraft, but it's an FPS game, which
yeah. It's basically just you can get materials just like dropped like on the ground, like just like the weapons are dropped in those games. But you can also like hit certain things. Like every part of the map, basically every part of the map is destructible. You can't hit the ground and get dirt, but you can get was it brick, metal, wood, and I think I'm missing one. And I'm probably gonna get roasted because everybody plays Fortnite. But basically, you can get a few different materials. And and I think stone as well as the other one. This is brick and stone are different, brick and rock. So basically, you can mine them because you have a pickaxe that does 10 damage a hit to people, but and it doesn't have a durability. It's just unlimited durability. But then everything has health. So I think your pickaxe does 50 damage to everything. Like that's not a human, obviously. So like trees, it'll go down by 50 every time. Then you'll get a certain amount of wood, and then you just press a hotkey or a button, and then you have like a building menu where you can build a flat platform, like a ramp. You can build like a platform with a window, and then there's traps and such. So it's kind of in depth once you get to the building, and a lot of people are seriously into like I need to be able to build this type of structure in this amount of time, otherwise I'm not going to be good at the game type of stuff. So,
yeah. All right, that's understandable, and
but
I was just curious because of those elements.
yeah, because PUBG's just basically, oh, I don't have a good gun, probably not going to live. Oh, I have a good gun. Am I good at the game? Yes. Okay, I'll probably win. It's just a matter of like with Fortnite, it's just so much different because you can have a good gun and still get completely dicked on by someone just because they know how to build better than you or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, no, I can understand that, and just from also something I was seeing on Twitch, it seems like PUBG, a lot of it is just camping the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're safe from the circle, which is all these games have a set circle that everybody has to come down into from after dropping in the map, the circle. The map slowly goes away, and you can't be outside of a certain radius, otherwise you die. But once that radius gets to a certain point, if you drop in the beginning, and the radius seems as though at the very end of the game the radius is going to close down right to where you are. As long as you have the gear, you can just sit there and wait for like 25 minutes. Or if you drop on a place where you know the circle's not going to be, you have your work cut out for you. It's actually a decision you make at the very beginning of the game. Because
Hmm.
you can drop in a heavily populated area where like everybody else is going to drop, and you can take your chance at either getting 10 kills or just getting completely dicked on as soon as you drop. Or you can drop in the middle of nowhere, risk not getting anything, and also risk not getting into the circle in time. So you can play it a bunch of different ways, and there is a lot of strategy involved sometimes, but I definitely can see where you're coming from, which sometimes just seems like you're just camping there.
Yeah, like, do you think that games should be FPS games should be trying to combat camping at all, or like, is it just a necessary
I
part
don't.
of?
I think with battle royale games, particularly, not necessarily all FPS games, but battle royale games in particular, camping is kind of a unavoidable evil because you're not gonna have this many players in a game and expect them to all be like, oh yeah, we're not gonna sit in a place where we're safe and sound and we're not gonna get killed. No, no, no. There's no way you could actually implement that because like even if you put like an idle timer on where if you don't move for 30 seconds you get like some kind of warning, and then if it happens 3 times you get kicked out of the game, even then people would still just move back and forth in a certain spot and just be like, okay, well, I'm still moving. So
Hmm.
unless they put some really, really strict restrictions on, there's no way that they're going to be able to combat camping. But like coming from a legitimate FPS game, like I don't know, Counter Strike or Rainbow Six or Call of Duty, any of those actual FPS games, with of course side objectives, going into battle royale is just so weird to me because it's a completely different objective entirely. Because your objective is you're not given the things you already need. You need to find the things that you want and
Yeah.
then make the best of what you have.
Okay.
Because in Rainbow Six, you start every match with the same gun, the same amount of ammo, the same, character, and or not the same character. You choose a character, but that character will always have the same gun. You're not going to spawn and be like, oh, I have a crossbow now, cool. Like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But in PUBG, you could play an entire match with a crossbow, or you can play an entire match with an assault rifle or a pistol. I mean, it's all the luck of the draw, really.
Okay. No, that completely makes sense, and I can see the appeal of that, but like ultimately, it just
It's not for me.
yeah, and like it's not for me either because I suck at FPS games. I'm just not good at aiming in all games, and yeah, that's just the end all be all, frankly. But like a
Yeah.
game that I've been getting really into lately was I made the decision to actually get the new MLB The Show game this year because like usually with sports games, what I do is I just alternate years. Like so, like I'll buy like the game, like the newest game one year, and then like I'll just stick with that game the next year, and then like I'll buy the new one the next year. So like
Yeah.
like obviously
I
this
would
is
do that too if I played any of those sports games because I
yeah
remember I bought like NBA 2K15 and then I bought like NFL I think 16 because that was they go a year ahead, right?
yeah
Usually. So I bought like both of those and they were brand new, and then I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna buy them again in the next like 3 months. So I'll just probably play these, and then I ended up buying 2K17 or maybe 18.
yeah, and like the biggest thing is like you buy it when like a bunch of new features come out or like the gameplay actually really improves because like the otherwise the only things that are really changing is just the players that you can use, and that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
So like that was a big thing, but I've been super into that lately, obviously, so, because that just came out, and like alongside that, I've been super into baseball. But that's obviously gonna fall out
yeah.
once
I
it.
played the show. I don't know which one. I think it was probably '09 or something like that on my PSP.
Okay.
uh, I remember I got a very heavy baseball themed birthday. So my grandfather gave me a Cal Ripken, like not, I guess it's kind of a biography, but it was more of a photo biography. And then he gave me like some Baltimore Orioles gear because he lived, or not my grandpa, my uncle, sorry, my great uncle. He lives in Baltimore and helped fund the building of the Ravens Stadium
Oh
and the
wow.
Orioles Stadium.
Dang. That's pretty good.
So basically, he's super into both of those teams, and he just gets me a bunch of merchandise, or used to get me a bunch of merchandise all the time.
Okay. That's
And
pretty cool.
so I got that, and then I also got a like a hat for each of the teams, and then he gave us the opportunity to, if we wanted to, we could go to his box and sit in his box at either of the stadiums
Oh wow.
because he was a major like funder. What is hello? investor. There we go. I was like, funder is definitely not correct. He was a major investor in both of the projects, so like he has some pull, and so they gave him a box at both.
Okay. Originally, I thought you meant like he donated like $5 or something, but yeah,
No,
that's
I mean like he was the chairman of the bar for all of Maryland for a while,
yeah. Wow, that's
or
really
whatever
impressive.
the hell that title is called. He was like big lawyer boy
Oh,
in
okay,
Maryland, so he had a lot of money to give to these teams.
gotcha. Okay, that's it. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And like I do wonder why more people don't get into that game because a lot of people's problems with baseball is that like it's too slow paced. But if you're in control of the pace and like you can just race through a game,
Yeah,
like
like
it
the
becomes
show is definitely probably the best way that I've seen baseball implemented into a video game format, really.
yeah, and like
Because shy of playing the real thing, there's not much more fun you can have than if you just sit there and play the show for a long time.
well, I mean, I would say it's better than playing the real thing because you can play a
Oh
game
yeah,
and like
because you can actually play for as long as you'd like and not feel fatigue.
yeah, and, like, well, yes, that's obviously the benefit of all sports video games, but no, I mean like you can play a game in like 45 minutes and just be done with it. Like it's not going to take like 3 hours to get through a game, and like
Yeah, and it's not gonna rain on you.
yeah, and like if you want to do like a My Career or something, you can be done with a game in like literally 5 minutes, and like you can just race through a season and
Yeah, you can sim games, I think. I'm pretty
well,
sure you can sim
yeah,
games.
yeah. I mean, you can sim games and anything, but yeah. So like that's been something that I've been really engrossed in. But obviously, once the NBA playoffs start, that's gonna eat up literally all of my time.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be interesting, and yeah, I think that it's a good recap on well, not a recap. That's a pretty good catch up on like just what's been going on. We let's see, what did we cover today? We went through our review of Mob Psycho 100.
Our very extensive review, might I add.
Yes, and might I add that that was on the first 3 episodes. So
Yeah, that was only on the first
I
three
don't know what
episodes.
our review is going to be like for the rest of it, but hopefully it won't be any longer winded.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, so we did that. We talked about Chiat. We talked about other anime. What else did we do? We talked about video games.
We talked about college
Talked about college. We talked about politics a little bit. Talked about the governors. We talked about what would happen if an ocean froze over.
for like a good 25 seconds.
Yeah. We talked about PUBG a little bit, and yeah, and I think it was a pretty enjoyable discussion. And we'll have to come back on sometime to wrap up whatever we didn't get a chance to.
Most definitely. We should definitely do that. We will reschedule at some point and hopefully not reschedule about 6 other times.
Oh yeah, and like and just behind the scenes, you guys, this one had like 4 different reschedules happening.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Spring break kind of did a number on my schedule because usually I'm like, oh yeah, I'm free these days. And I was like, oh, nope, not these days. All of a sudden, because family's like, hey, we're going to come in 2 days early. I'm like, why?
Yeah. So yeah, if you guys are as excited as I am for catching up with us again, give us a nice review on iTunes. That'd be great. Give us 5 stars. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Four
obviously
stars.
we're worth all of the stars, Ryan.
Yeah, you know what? Give us 6 stars.
You know what?
Hack
We
into
need to
iTunes.
petition Apple to include a 10-star system, and you need to give us 13 stars because we are just that damn good.
Okay, here's what you got to do. I want you to create a spider or a script
A
or whatever.
spider.
Yeah, don't create a spider; those are creepy. Create a script online that creates a bunch of iTunes accounts, and just have them all give us 5 star reviews.
Yes,
I think
I
that
will happily accept that, and we will be the top podcast on Apple Podcasts, and everybody will be like, "Who the hell are these kids?" And we'll be like, "Haha, we rule the world."
yep, it's infallible. Do that. That'll work great. Go to our YouTube channel if you'd like. Topical Rationalizing the Monkey Brain. Give us a subscribe on there. Hit the
Wait, did you
bell.
make a YouTube channel, Ryan?
Yeah, check it out.
Why was I not told?
I thought I told you.
No, you never told me this.
You might be the last person to know, to be honest.
Ah,
Okay, yeah.
okay.
So he's gonna go to the YouTube channel. You guys are gonna meet him there, okay? You're gonna go give us a subscribe, okay? You're gonna hit the bell. You're gonna give us a comment saying how much you like it, or you're gonna go dislike all the mean comments that say they don't like my voice or whatever. You're
Yeah.
gonna give us a like if you want to. It doesn't actually affect anything. You'll create another spider or a script or whatever that'll just randomly hit that refresh button every like 30 seconds or just a random amount of time. So you know we can get that sweet YouTube money eventually. And you know what? We're gonna see you next time because I got a lot more of these scheduled.
This has been Andrew, the uninformed man, The last to know, signing off. Thank
Yeah.
you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank you. See you next time.